Hey YouTube, it's your favorite mega church cult survivor, Leah Larder. And I'm live, and I'm going to go live on Instagram as well. I was just having a nice little chat with TikTok, because as you know, I'm live on TikTok as well. I've got I think it's a really exciting topic, and I hope that people can come because, well, it will all be recorded anyway, and I will just keep doing this live. All right, let's go live on Instagram because I don't have much time. Hey Insta, it's Leah Lauder, your favorite mega church cult survivor, and I'm live. And I'm also live on TikTok, and I'm also live on YouTube. So let's get into it. As you know, I spent 18 years in a mega church cult, lay your roof in the cut. And then I came to the realization during the pandemic that it was a whole cult and not in fact a church. So since then I've been coming online and I've been exposing the hell out of them. So what I'm going to be talking about today and what I'm going to be doing up here is, okay, let me tell you the context. So I was listening to my cult leader, Dag, yesterday, and I'm going to be doing a piece exposing him. So this is like my warm-up. And he was talking about Queen Vashti in it. And I was talking to a survivor about this, and they really do demonize women, just period. But what they have done is, through the false doctrine and the misogynistic patriarchal rhetoric, is that they have demonized women, like the biblical women character. So what it is the only example that we have to want to be like is Mary, the mother of Christ, which was a virgin, and then apparently she recompensed the sins of mankind through giving birth to Jesus Christ. So it's just giving male chauvinistic PIG, if I'm honest. It's just giving misogynistic, it's just giving patriarchal. And you know, I just really want to speak to the women mainly today, and then the men who are healed in their feminine energy will also be able to get it. But the men in these settings, they don't know, they're not going to be able to process it. So TikTok, like up the live, because they have been trying to get me off continuously, please. All right, let's get into it. This is going to be a good one. So I'm going to be using the biblical characters Vashti, Mary Magdalene, and Jezebel. Okay, because these are the main ones that they use to abuse people. All right, so I'm going to give you a short summary. So many pastors and leaders reframe Esther as the right model, self-sacrificing, strategic, obedient, Proverbs 31 model wife example, and Vashti as the wrong model. So the proud, disobedient, sexualized. And also I kind of feel like Vashti represents like the beautiful woman. Do you know what I mean? Like the woman who loves herself, the woman who, do you know what I mean? Like, do you get it? And then the king gets all upset and replaces her. But we don't even hear the rest of the story. Like, what happened to Esther and what happened to Vashti? It's one little thing. Another thing I want to put in this as well is that Vashti had to reject the king in order for Esther to step up and save her people. Do you get what I'm saying? But they don't have the mind to look at things like that, because they just want to thief your money. Do you understand what I'm saying? And they want to demonize women so that they could control the women. All right, so that they can be like puppets and wear abuse as the crown and be slaves to a man. Okay, so that simple binary gets weaponized. Women are told to emulate Esther or risk being treated as a Vashti. So they use this as threats, and that's what my ex-cult leader was doing in his preaching. He was saying that you better be careful before your husband replaces you. If you're like a Queen Vashti, this and that. So if a woman's in a DV relationship or an emotionally abusive relationship, or they're dealing with psychological trauma, pre-childhood trauma. And if you're a troll, go back and report to Dag, innit? Because if you notice, guys, since I've been speaking out, now all of these porsters and mogs and Christians, if you notice, they're talking about healing all of a sudden. And they're trying to talk about things that I've been trying to bring it in. But why weren't you talking about it before? Why weren't you talking about it before? Why has it taken me coming on here to be Liddy, to be who I am, to be the queen I am, to be able to scream from the mountaintops, to get attention to the point where when I'm going out now, people are recognizing me, Jaya. That's the level that it's got to now. We did that as a collective, put our name on everything. Because they tried to discard us and make out like we weren't anything. But look at what we've achieved there. Okay. All right. And no one was there. So it's just a lot of lies. It's a lot of lies. And I'm going to be taking down their structures. I've just been telling you lot about what they do in their characteristics, this, that, and the third. Now we're going to be deconstructing the canon Bible. Now we're going to be deconstructing the lies. Now we're going to be deconstructing everything. I'm going to be doing it. We might get through quite a lot of it today, but I'm really excited about this. And I want to let you all know that I've got a book coming out in January. All of everything that I've been talking about for the past 6 months is going to be in my book. All right. So Everything that I've been doing in the life is going to be collated into a resource for you guys to heal, deconstruct, deprogram, and take your power back. Okay. So if you're a survivor, make sure I'm going to put a pre-order thing out soon, like around December, that sort of time. So, okay. Let's get into it, man. So that simple binary gets weaponized. Women are told to emulate Esther or risk being treated as a Vashti. So it's the fear of losing their position as a wife, because remember, they prize it. They indoctrinate the women to see it as an achievement, okay? So they're shamed, disciplined, or even blamed for abuse. The interpretation usually ignores historical, cultural context and the ethical complexity of both women's actions. And it becomes a tool that enforces submission and silences complaints. So also the women get silenced. You know what I mean? If they complain about their husband, you should feel lucky. A man has honored you. Out of all of the women in the world, the millions of women, he has chosen you and he said, I want to take you and you become my wife. It says in the Bible that a woman must be found, and you have been found. He might be dusty. He might not be a high earner. He might not dress the way you like. You can take him and you can dress him up. Is that a reason to say no? Is that a reason to not marry? You are carnal. You are carnal. So this is the way that we talk to people, and they get women, like women who are doing well in their life. Like the downfall of a lot of women has been the husbands, and then they've divorced them, and then they get coerced because they've been brainwashed into marrying young, and then when they divorce them, they demonize the divorced women because we come out now and we're speaking the truth and we're free. Baby, I'm not gonna be silent. I don't care. I'm not going to be silenced, babe. I'm going to be exposing it up because it was 18 years. I'm going to be exposing up everything in my brain that I'm thinking about. I'm going to be coming on and exposing in the car. All right. So how the text gets twisted. Let me close it. The sun's shining. The Lord's glory is shining upon me so bright. I have to close my curtain. Thank you, Queen Innes. God has smiled on me. He has set me free. No, God has smiled on me. He's been good to me, and he never lets me be put to shame, Jer, because I even got the key wrong. Morning, Queen, but God has smiled on me. All right, so how does this text get twisted and manipulated, y'all? So common moves leaders use to manipulate you, to twist and mystically manipulate the text to get women to do what they want and become slaves, yeah? Simple binary. So Vashti's proud, Esther's humble. So they do this a lot in there. It's very black and white thinking. They can't think in between the lines. So they're not thinking Vashti was a queen. Esther came from absolute poverty. So Vashti's obviously going to be different. You get me? But because it's black and white thinking, that we can't see gray. We can't see green. We can't see end there, error. They just take it literally. And then remember that the leaders are malignant narcissists and misogynists and patriarchs. So this is why we've got the aunties looking DUMB and speaking like that, like no sense. There's no logic. There's no sense. It's because of this type of narrative that has destroyed our people and many generations. And now we're rising up and we're saying no, and we're talking about it. And why I'm so proud of like the generations that have come after is because in the culture back home, it's very like you can't talk. It's about reputation. Everything has to be. That's how the kids are brought up, to cover ABUSE. Do you know what I mean? Mummy's just got daddy's just weighed mummy in, just put some serious hands on mummy, and now you're going to uncle's engagement in the morning and you're all dressed up in your little, and you gotta go. That's the life you came from. That's why you're fake. That's why you mask. That's why you're in these settings, because they do up the same thing. Brush abuse under the carpet, sweep it behind closed doors. That's what they do up. That's why you're in there, because that feels like home. That's normal to you. That's why you bow before the boss. That's why you call him daddy. That's why you do up all of that. You're respecting him like you're a slave, because that's in your epigenetics as a result of your ancestors being sold into slavery, all right, by the colonizers who also brought the religion. And I'm going to be breaking that down because y'all like to think that it was in Ethiopia. I've already debunked that, but we will be going through it all today. So your questions will be asked. You're welcome. Hey, official Posty. I think it's important for us to know the truth. It doesn't take away from Christ, because Christ has got nothing to do with this. Christ came to the earth. He did what he had to do and he went. It's the men, the corrupt men here on earth that were afraid and scared. You know how they always say they hated Christ? Yeah, because they were calling Christ a witch, babe. They were the Pharisees. They were the imperial powers of the time. The Pharisees were the priests, and like what you are today, and we are the Jesus. We are the Christ. Do you understand? You lot are the Antichrist, but they're not getting it, because if we translate who they are today, they're not personifying Jesus Christ. They fit closer to the Pharisaic tendencies, which is just the Antichrist, because they unalived Christ. So that's what I'm saying. Because they've taught us the wrong doctrine, everyone's seeing it's a false Christ that they've taught, because they wanted to unalive Christ because he came to threaten their systems and structures. It's got nothing to do with HATE, because he was going out there and abusing people. He weren't doing that. He weren't doing that. It was because of the jealousy. But basically, it was because of the threat. It was the threat that Christ posed to their structures, their power. That's what it's about. That's on period, point blank. And that's why I don't care. Because when they were gaslighting me and everything, God showed me that Christ was a social justice activist, a humanitarian, a feminist. Do you know why Christ was a feminist? Because he had women as part of the movement. Mary Magdalene was his chosen apostle to be an apostle to the apostle. He appeared to Mary Magdalene when everybody ran off, all the man, them, Peter and whatever that they worship. Paul weren't even there. Paul weren't even there. The one that they talk about like it's the church of Paul, he weren't even about. It was Mary Magdalene that was traveling fast, spending all her money, anointing the feet of Christ with an alabaster box, crying all her tears, washing his feet with her tears. Do you know how many tears? Because they have no empathy. Let's sit with that. The amount of tears it would have taken this woman to wash the feet of Jesus Christ. Can we sit with that? Can we sit with that? Oh, but she just pushed to the side. Do you know what I mean? Because why? Because she's a woman. Oh, yeah, because, she was a priestess. Even witch. Do you see how they demonized women with power? Women who were leaders branded them witches. Are you seeing, ladies? We're waking up in 2025, baby. We gonna wake up in 2025, chair. We gonna wake up. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, that's just what it is. That's what you gal them need to realize. I could put a hairband in a top like this and go out and get moved to with this bonnet from my house all the way down to the town. Y'all go out fully dressed and no one stops. All right? Okay, just so we know. And you know why I'm saying that? Because they make everything about man. They're so male-centered in there. So I know they hate him. Because I don't care. I don't center men. That's why they flock. But y'all worship the man in there, Jaya. And that's why they do that thing like it needs to be found. And the thing is, a lot of gal them that are in there, they would never get a man to even look upon them. So when they get in there, everything's about workspace, what they do. Barbara, the builders, building the empire for the mob. That's how they get a husband, all right? You scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. Nothing's free in there. Nothing's transparent. Nothing's just with, like, you know, like people who do things. Like, I've got a friend, she does things for me. She's not expecting nothing back in return. But with them, they throw things back in your face, especially when you leave or you can't make some. Oh, now you have a job. You can't come to the meeting on Tuesday. Okay. As soon as God has given you that job, he will take it away from you. Find a way. This is how they act. Do you know what I'm saying? And it's like, you can't do no right, you can't do no wrong. They've told you to get a job. They want your teeth, all your money for you to be able to afford the camps, whatever. You've gone out, you've tried, you've got a job. Now they've still got something to say. It's like you're proud, it's like you're this, it's like you're that. And that is to just constantly break you down so that you become a shell of yourself and so that you don't trust yourself. It's like because they gaslight you. So you'll always be questioning, you know, am I moving far away from God? Am I pleasing the pastor? I'm not. Everything is you're thinking about. If that's going on in your setting, it's not church, babe. It's a cult. Because your wog or your whatever shouldn't be making you feel like that. But the sad truth is a lot of their parents are like this. Very authoritarian. But I said to my child, I said, take your coat. Like, it looks like it's going to be, oh no, mommy, I don't want to take it because it's going to be too hot. And I said, all right, just leave it if you don't want to take it. But you know, these parents will be like, I said to take the coat. Take the coat. I said to take it. It's going to be caught. Do what your mother says. You think you know better than me. So they're used to that. They're used to the emotional neglect. They're used to being ABUSED'd because mummy had to put up with daddy who was cheating and had different kids all over the place, was living in Nigeria half the year, then was, you know, there's been so much instability. But because they are married, they are Mr. and Mrs. Ajiman, and that is what matters. Because on the paperwork, we need to have the last name. So now we have kids that have come from the same home. They are on TikTok, absolutely traumatized. I said to myself when I started looking at TikTok, and I said, there's no way my girls are going to be on TikTok 8 years later, 10 years later saying, I wish that I wasn't born if it meant that mummy wouldn't have met daddy. Are you all right? I'm going to choose myself now. You lot might not understand because you're young. But when you get older and you turn into a woman, you're going to be looking upon me and saying, why did I stay? You know, when your kids grow up and get sent, and you've got to remember that the younger generations are more woke. So that's why you always have to choose yourself. That's why you always have to choose yourself. Your recruitment's dropping, babe. You lot ain't got no one in the cult. Like, I've been out videoing you lot. You lot can't recruit no one. I don't care about views, babe. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Instagram. The survivors watch my stuff later. A lot of them stay on the FYP as well. I've got people in my FYP, babes. I don't care. You don't care about numbers. That's the issue. That's why you're failing. Because I don't care about numbers. I don't need to coerce people. I don't even tell people when I come on live. Y'all, you lot have all your promo out. Everybody knows when your church services are, and they're still not coming, babe. So I just pop up on the FYP. My survivors never know when I'm coming on, but I still always have people on. All right, my love? Okay. There's not a day that I come on in a certain time where people know that's when I'm coming on, baby. I just come on when I feel like it, all right? Oh, I know that, babe. I know that. It's not a problem. Do you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, it could just be one person on the FYP. Your mother, Ruth, your mother that didn't care for you, your crazy mother in religious psychosis. That's the reason that you're emotionally neglected, and that's the reason that you're in the church cult, my love, because your mother neglected you. Your mother is more interested in praying away the demons and whatever. And you were probably a whore when you were younger because your mum was more interested in praying in the demons. You didn't feel like you could go to mummy and tell mummy that you were actually active because your mum's just in religious psychosis, probably needs to be sectioned. All right. Hey, morning. I don't know you though, but morning. I think, do you know what I'm just going to go ahead and do? Because let me look in here. Yes. Because you young guys, actually, you know what? I'm not going to get distracted because this is a very important live. Miss Blacklisted, can you look out for comments like that? Like if someone calls me out auntie, just block them, my love. Any sideway comments that you see that are not usual things that people would say to me, just block them. Okay, babe? All right. All right, so we're looking at how the text gets twisted. So common moves leaders use. Simple binary. Vashti equals proud. Esther equals humble. Sermons and teachings reduce a complex narrative to a moral dichotomy that rewards submission and condemns refusal. So again, do you see how they're taking away our free will? They're taking our free will and our power to be able to think for ourselves and make decisions. So everybody feels backed up against the wall, like they can't really truly say how they feel. And then it's just a bag of utes. So now that's why I'm saying, and I'm going to do an updated red flag video, but I'm just saying to everybody, if you go into a church cult and it's just all young people, run, because that is a really, really bad sign. If you don't see no adults in there, leave, because there needs to be some adults in there, because adults have more sense than you. And that's just on period point back. Your brain hasn't even fully functioned. So if you go in there and there's no adults, just duck out. And I'm not talking about in the leadership. There needs to be members actively involved in the ministry, a part of it, okay? So this ignores the historical context. So the court politics, the Persian law, the objectification, making the text a moral test for women. So because for lack of knowledge, our people perish. That's why they're going down. And they've also built a lot of these churches on sand. So now when the storms and the rains and the whatever, and the lightning's coming soon as well, and the thunder. So they haven't even been able to survive the little showers that I've been doing up online. So, and it's coming down. So you can imagine when I'm really put on a platform. Oh God, oh yeah. That's all I need, baby. That's all I need. And it's coming. And when it comes, I'm going to do the survivors so proud. It will be my best performance yet. They've all been saying that I deserve an Oscar. Let's see if I get on a major platform, if I'll get it. Let's see if I get recognized. That's what it's all about after all, isn't it? Ooh, can't wait for my time. I just love exposing Dag. It's making the test a moral test for women. There's no context. There's no common sense applied. Okay, because the men HATE, the women in there, the leaders. So threat framing, you'll be replaced like Vashti. So leaders explicitly or implicitly warn women that non-compliance equals replacement or loss of status. Because remember, the marriage is also a status in there. They think it's a status. Marrying a broke man that can't afford to live by himself is not, I don't think that ups your status. But again, because of colonization and what we were sold into. These are very Eurocentric, very civil society. It's given Europe. It's given Europe and UK. Like, we were just running around, nothing on, and, eating fruit from the trees. It doesn't fit where we come from. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that's how you know that they're liars, and that's how you know it's just all about the peas. All right. So that threat is a coercive control tactic that keeps women afraid to speak up. So this is how a lot of the ABUSE gets brushed under the carpet. Do you know there's a lot of African women, they don't even understand what emotional ABUSE is, because they've had such extreme ABUSE in the family from friends where people have nearly unalived because there's a big DV issue within that community. Huge. But because all the aunties are simple, because of the indoctrination, do you understand what I'm saying? Because of the colonization, the epigenetics, they've been taught to, like, it's like they don't have a brain, like they can't think for themselves. And that's why the children have suffered. Do you understand? Because they haven't had a mum that's present, lights are on, no one's home. And survivors have come on and said, it feels like my mum unalived. Because, just like girly things, like just to talk to, like to find out how to be a woman, how to be feminine, they can't ask because their mum's on the street. Looking like, like she's lost the plot. Queen Lucia in the car. Lucia is hot today. That's what's been happening. So the kids have suffered now. And then what you see is these repeating cycles. Like, these Nigerian women have been saying to us for years, we're the only one that can handle our husband. But it's like, no, babe, like you can see there's a clear problem. There's a cycle of trauma here, because every wife that's been married in this family, their husband has been a prolific cheater. And not only a prolific cheater, but had kids outside of the marriage as well. And they say that's curses, but it's not curses, it's trauma, because they're teaching, they've got a certain mindset psychologically that's been carried through the family. So now when the man cheats, why are you going to leave him? All the men are like that. Just stay there. You've got 2 children with him. Just have the children and stay. At least you need to stay for them. But the men are thinking, as soon as the kids go to uni, I'm out. So that's why they always get divorced around that age, because the kids are a distraction. They'll go to the school plays, they'll go on holiday with the kids. They have absolutely no connection. They're doing it all for the kids. But is it better that a child stays at home? Maybe her parents aren't married, but it's a safe, happy environment. The parents communicate, they go, or to be married couple that don't talk. Daddy lives downstairs in the living room, because they never have big houses or whatever. These guys are dusty. And then they're just doing everything. They're not even communicating on holiday. Daddy's staying in the hotel room the whole time. It's mummy going around, because the dad don't want to be there. He wants to be with his mistress. He's there messaging his mistress on holiday, chatting to his mistress, doing video calls with his mistress whilst the wife is out doing all the activities with the kids. That's the reality of what wants. And I'm just trying to tell people the truth so they know, especially the wives. But I don't really think they care, because once you're a pick-me, you're going to settle. And that's why I'm happy that I'm seeing women wake up and take back their power and be free. All right, so let's look at eggshell shaming and objectification. Vashti is often cast as a trophy or eggshellized object who refused eggshell availability, because the story of Vashti is that the king called her into his bedroom chambers and she rejected him. She said no, but they could have been having an argument. Like, Vashti, she's that girl, isn't it? She said no. What do you mean? She's a queen, he's a king. She wasn't a pauper like Esther. Esther felt grateful to be taken in and be in the castle or whatever. Vashti grew up in the palace, babe. Esther grew up in the slums. So she's got, do you see the difference? But it's black and white thinking. So they'll never talk like this. They'll never explore because that's the context. That's when we contextualize it. So we can understand even the behavior, how she was brought up, whatever. But they just demonize her, and they use it as a way to demonize the wives and make them afraid and scared. That if they're proud, if they speak up, if they're like this, so then they're just like maids. And that's why the husbands walk all over them like a doormat, literally. So leaders explicitly, so she's been framed as a woman who refused eggshell availability. This involves thing shaming and justifies policing women's bodies and behaviors. So it was like she was getting forced to do something against her will. She said, no, that's all right. Scriptural literalism without context. But you see, a lot of these pastors, they're actually eating from the grape apologists. So they support eating from the grape bowl. Again, the black and white thinking. A woman has the power to open and close her legs. If she opens her legs, then it's her fault that they ate from the grape bowl. We've also heard Charlie Kirk talking about women if they've had 5 or 6 drinks or whatever. So he's also, a lot of them, because of how EVIL, the book is, how they've manipulated it and twisted, and then all of the EVIL false doctrine, it supports a lot of these very just dehumanizing, just EVIL rhetorics and ideologies. And we're seeing that in the USA. That's why he has to be a leader, so people can, that's why people are peed off, because that guy's there, he's doing up that. Then we've got this stuff in England, and it all comes under the same scope. Do you understand that all same birds of a feather flock together? That's what they're all like. They wish it could be like that all around the world. They wish that he was the Christians wish that he was the one world ruler. So imagine if that happened now, what would that mean? They're so blind. Guys, it's going to take them some really, really bad stuff happening for them to open their eyes, like certain people to get out. And that will be happening. Unfortunately, we are going to have to go through probably the worst time in history so that we can rebuild our society and get back our world. And it is mainly because of religion. Do you understand? All right. When you look back into history, a lot of the wars and whatever, it's all been over religion. Like, my God said this, my God. And then you just have to think, like, was it your God talking to you, or was it ego, power, and greed? Do you get me? Like, were you having hallucinations, baby? Because now we've got the knowledge. Do you get what I'm saying? So we're not just taking this book at face value. We have to be able to look at it in context. We have to be able to look at the surrounding factors. You can't just read text and then just get a revelation from the Lord and then tell people that's what it is. You're ruining lives. Don't they get it? You are destroying people's lives. That's what's happening, Jaya. Scriptural literalism without context. So the story is read as direct instruction for marriage roles rather than literature shaped by a specific ancient court culture. So they're not taking into consideration culture. They're not taking into context the fact that women were treated as lower than cattle. They're not taking into all of those things into context. The reason why is the Bible is the same as slavery. Like, we can't, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, we've got to unpack it, babes. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, guys, like, hello. They've made it like it's untouchable, like no one can't talk about it. That's why they're screaming and crying, victim, will be persecuted. Oh, whatever. You've been persecuting people for years, babe. You are the problem. How about that? And now the tables are turning because you're getting the karma. Like, you've been doing this to people for years, and now you're crying wolf. We don't care. Because you're wolves dressed in sheep's clothing. So you can cry wolf. We don't care. All right. So then we've got... The story is read as a direct instruction for marriage roles rather than literature shaped by a specific ancient court culture. Leaders who do this claim divine sanction for patriarchal demands. Divine sanction, so they can rebuke the woman. You don't like rebuke. Women are proud. Women are proud. They are used. When you see men in leadership and then you see women in leadership, is different. EVIL. Huh? Men, tell me. What do you think, ladies? Do you know yourselves? This is how they do it. Just ABUSE-ing us and getting us to be like laughing and like some idiot. That's why I call you. That's why I don't put respect on you lot's name. How are you gonna come on and have chat for me, to talk to me about what? What would we possibly talk about, babe? I talk about philosophy. I talk about psychology. I talk about theory. I talk about metaphysics. I talk about the universe in a multi-dimensional way. I talk about physics. I talk about the mechanics of physics. We go into relativity. We go into so much. I unfortunately, I don't want to talk about, cleaning and what I cooked for my ex-husband and the kids. I don't want to talk about that. All right. Okay. All right. So let's go up. So that's why I don't bring you on. All right. Because we're not, you're a Barbara the Builder and a pick-me-shot, and I'm a queen and a goddess. So oil and water don't mix. You understand me? You understand? Oil and water don't mix. You feel me? All right. So selective scripture and moral inversion. So praising Esther's strategic silence as holy humility while punishing Vashti's refusal. And that was refusal because she didn't want to get her back blown out. but she is demonized. So there's a bit around consent there, isn't there? So Vashti's refusal teaches women that safety and moral worth depend on pleasing men. Thank you, Queen Ange. Not on justice or bodily integrity. But obviously the women that are woke respect and love themselves. And that's why it's just all ending in divorce, because it's a load of women that don't love themselves. The men use them, choose them for that reason, because of the desperation and the trauma, use them to build themselves up, and then go for a fabulous queen like myself later on. And then they start to project and hate on the woman that's with the rich husband, because you built him up. I'm not going to build him up. That's the difference between you and me, because he's not going to respect you, babe. That's why they have a brother and sister relationship. That it's not a marriage. It's like it turns into like a business arrangement. Do you know what I mean? The way they talk about the bills, and it just that you can't have, like, he can't be your lover if he can't provide for you, and he can't be a man, and he can't. That's why the women are wearing the trousers, you know, like that Mr. and Mrs. record. Her husband is feminine as hell. She is very masculine. Okay, she used to be LGBTQ plus. So as I said to you, femininity is not about putting on weave and dressing nice. Feminine, because a woman can still do that and be masculine as hell. Like it is about it's internally. And also, if you're married, the man has to be in his masculine energy to put you in your feminine energy. Again, I said there's the laws, there's the universal laws, and then there's religion. Then there's their BS. Do you understand what I'm saying? So according to universal laws, it's masculine and feminine energy. It's all about yin yang. It's all about the balance. That's why even when you see LGBTQ couples, there'll always be a masculine and feminine dynamic. All right, my love, you just can't escape it. So that's why in that marriage, she's the masculine one, because masculinity is energy. The husband is in his feminine energy. She is in her masculine energy. Anyone can see that. You see them talking. He laughs like a gal. She's mask. This woman is mask. Do you understand what I'm telling you? And at the end of the day, most of the women, if not all, are in their mask energy because they're in survival mode. The men are not providers. They've had to build these men up, and it shows. That's why I said to you, the aunties, their skin don't crack, but it's the trauma. It's like, why do you look like you're only 40 years old? I'm going to be 40. And it's like they're looking at our generation like, oh my God, they look so young. No, because you've been male-centered. This generation, we've de-centered men. We've been focusing on loving ourselves, on healing. That's why we look so good. Because they just drain you of all your life source and energy, especially when they don't like you and they're just using the yard as a motel. That's why a lot of people like you, Ruth, if you're on here, you'll emulate the marriage that your mother and father had. So you'll probably marry a man that will just choose you like your mum to be a slave and a cleaner. Because all a wife is a glorified maid and cleaner and a nanny. That's all they are. Oh, and a nurse, because they have to nurse. We have to nurse the kids and also nurse the husbands. But the funny thing is, when they're unwell, we'll be doing everything, looking after them. When we're unwell, they won't even human fecal matter on us. The woman will do everything, iron the man's clothes, clean his clothes. He'll be out cheating. He just like, men don't like desperation. They use desperation. They don't like it. They use it. It's convenient for them. Men are not like women. They don't fall madly in love. They think strategically. Like, yeah, this woman, I can do my thing. She's going to be quiet. She's not going to give me no hassle. She's not going to be as expensive. You think these men haven't been with other women before? You think they don't know? All right. Why leaders do this? Motives and institutional incentives. So they maintain control on hierarchy, a theology of female submission. As I said to you, the Canon Bible is a patriarchal lens of Christianity. When you look at the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, it's a matriarchal lens, and we're going to get into that. Why they've hidden and, kept out certain books, and why there's certain books in the Apocrypha, and that, it's just all at MESS chair. All right, so this theology of female submission preserves male authority in congregation and families. It keeps leadership unchallenged. So you've got the hierarchy even that is so man-made, like God, then the husband and the wife. And then you can see in the dynamics of the marriages that it's just not meant to be that way. Do you know what I mean? Because the woman is the provider, the man is the head. They say it with their mouths, but inwardly it's not that. Do you know what I mean? So it's fake. Nothing's not real, because most of the women in these marriages are the breadwinner. They're the boss. They're telling the man what to do. They ain't got no shmoney. If you're on the same pay as your gal or earning less, that's not a man. I'm sorry. I'm just going to tell you straight. And so do you see a woman will never respect a man like that because he's not a provider? That's what happens. And then they start to lose respect for them. And then they just become like a houseboy. like a glorified, so they're like roommates. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Just like, it's like for the kids, and it works out cheaper, and a lot of them have got mortgages and tied things in, and it just doesn't make sense. So that's why a lot of the married men just cheat. They don't want to be with the wives. It's not because they can't leave them, because they've been there for them, because it's a hotel. They're paying like 50-50. The woman's still gonna pay for this man's life, cook food for him, wash his clothes, do everything whilst he's cheating. Do you understand? Who would let that go? If I was a man, I wouldn't. If I was a man, I'd marry a pick-me and do my thing straight. Meals all the time, the yard's clean, I don't have to do nothing. Come on, why is a man gonna leave that? Like, someone would have to be like DUMB to leave that. So when you're there thinking that you've done your big one, because you're what? Not really, babe. Not really. Because if you asked all of these men, and we had to have a lie detector, so they showed a picture, image of a woman that was just absolutely gorgeous, and said, if you could blow out this woman's back and your wife would never find out, would you do it? I guarantee you all of them would say yes. All right, so let's get into the next bit, and that's just the truth. That's just the truth. All right. Cultural political convenience. In highly patriarchal or political aligned churches, this message supports broader gender norms that benefit the institution. So they love to do up gender hierarchy, gender inequality. Do you understand? Yeah, honesty is the best policy, but they don't know what it means in these settings, babe. They don't. They'll fake it till they make it. That's what they do. That's what the mogs are doing. They're faking it till they make it, and then targeting and recruiting vulnerable kids to be a part of it, because they're just excited to be there. Remember, when you're under 18, you can't go to no clubs, you can't buy no drink, you can't, it's like, it's so limited. But at that age, you do want to be outside. And these places of worship, they're just like nightclubs. Do you understand? Like, with all the dancing and the stuff, that it's not about Christ. They're in there for the friends. And then the gal them are in there because they fancy the guys. They know what they're doing. And then when they all start sleeping with each other, they start breaking them down and ABUSE in them. And that's a lot of the time where the girls will go, because the girls will get blamed. So it's just the same cycle. It's the same cycle. Guys, I've got Dahlia dimples. I was today years old when I found out that I have Dahlia dimples. As I've got older, look, they're more pronounced. I can't believe it. I'm just going to be like, babe, I'm beautiful with Dahlia dimples. I don't want to speak to you. Okay? I'm a goddess. A ghetto goddess who's been listening to Cardi's new album. Is absolutely popping. I love it. Power, money, wisdom being abused, using it for their own ends makes sense. Yeah. Is that's what they do, innit? That, the patriarchs, it's the same as the American leader, babe. The American leader are the church cult leaders that I'm talking about. Like, when I'm talking about, that's what it is. What's going on in the US, that's what we went through. But it was higher level exposure to the narcissism, because we were all trapped in this self-sealing system. But exactly the same. You can't have a voice. They just change the laws and rules. They do whatever the hell they want. And then they use the scripture to back it up. All right. Yeah, that's what they do. What's going on in the US has been our lives. Absolute HEOR. So as hard as it is for the Americans, and my heart goes out to you, like, someone like this does need to be on a major platform. Do you understand what I'm saying? He does need to be on a major platform, because everybody needs to see how bad it is. All right, well, YouTube, I don't know if you're a troll or not. So you're saying God doesn't like me because I don't like to marry a pastor. Well, most pastors are broke or thieves. They've got wealth through thieving. So God doesn't like a thief, my love. Do you know what I mean? He abhors the thieves, actually. So I think you're going to be all right. They're not actually, majority of them aren't even that. They're just thieves. That's why I said I could talk about them all day. I could talk about them all day, and I'm going to be untouched. I'm going to be fine. Because they're EVIL. They've been thieving single mothers. They've been destroyed. The survivors, and that's why I like the survivors calling me. You lot call me. Tell me your stories. I don't have to share it, but this is what helps me to survive, because it's given me the vim I need to expose these guys. Like, I spoke to a girl this morning. She recognized me and she just said, thank you for the work I was doing. She was so lovely. But that kind of stuff, it really encourages me. So when I went down the road and I saw the gal that was sleeping with my ting I was dealing with after I came out of the cult, I just felt good. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm getting recognized. What you doing, baby? There's been no growth. It's been years and there's been absolutely no growth. So I was just sitting there in my fur jacket that Lucia gifted me. Thank you, my love. I was just sitting there in the fur, just sitting there looking great with my glasses on. Hey, Tasia. And she was just feeling like human fecal matter, touching everything. Yeah. Because that's what happens. Because the energy's too much. Don't get on the wrong side of me. And this is why a lot of people haven't seen me, because I move in silence. And when I decide to deal with something mentally, I've got to have in my head, all right, I'm prepared to do A, B, C, D. I'm prepared for this to happen, that happen. That's how my mind works. So if you see me beefing or you see me out here doing what I'm doing, you know it's serious. That's why I'm saying I've only got energy for the cult. I've only got energy for survivors and exposing up the church cults. I haven't got energy for anything else. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, the priority is exposing these man them. That's why when man them are messaging me, even including survivors, don't message me. I'm not interested. I am here trying to fight for everyone to change the world with what's going on. I don't have interest in what you've got to say, babes. Do you get me? Like, are you all right? I'm not saying when I want some D and I've decided that that's the time, I'll let you know. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, all right. So let's, Queen Elita. All right. So the gender norms, and that has benefited the institution. Simpler messages for crowds, complex ethics don't mobilize congregations the way Claire do. Oh, sorry, guys. It doesn't. Okay, so complex ethics don't mobilize congregations the way Claire do and don't rules do. And unscrupulous leaders weaponize that simplicity. Okay, so that's where the black and white thinking comes in. A plus B equals C, 1 plus 2 equals 3. They simplify it, do you understand? Because bringing in all those complex ethics, remember, they're churning in people every day. They just need to have black and white, 1 plus 2, just A plus B equals 3, like the same formula, like clones, like just figuring it out. Because if you put complex ethics in, they don't have the time to deal with women that are coming in and saying that there's preds or there's this, or they don't have the time. So it's easier to just demonize the women, say it's their fault. That way, anything that happens, women feel so guilty and so condemned, because they do a lot through the fair-based programming, conviction, condemnation, to make the woman feel like she's a Jezebel, she's a 304. So there has just been historical ABUSE by pastors, leaders, women feeling ashamed. Do you know what? I don't wish it upon nobody, but in a way, and I know this is going to sound crazy, but I say this for my survivors that have dealt with SA. I say, in a way, I wish it had happened to me. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because I'd be going to the police, I'd be doing everything. But I think God knows that if it had, maybe I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing, because the survivors that have been violated like that, it just breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. And that's why I do what I do. It really is for the women that have, where they've eaten from the great bowl and essayed in these environments. I didn't know I was so passionate about women's rights until all of this started coming out. But the survivors who that has happened to, they are some of the most beautiful, genuine souls. And so I just don't have it. All right. So let's get into how that teaching silences and harms women, mechanisms and effects. So we've got fear of replacement or spiritual condemnation. Women stay quiet rather than risk being labeled Vashti. That's why they bring in all these negative connotations. They want to silence people. They don't want to be labeled as a Jezebel or a Vashti or a this or a that. Victim blaming. And it's really like it's idiocracy. When you think about it at its finest, really, isn't it? Because who cares if you're called a Jezebel or whatever, but in there, it's very real. That's why we're saying they have religious psychosis, because you're going to a place of worship. You're leaving home being bullied by everybody in there, calling you a Jezebel, and you're at home crying about it. And then you're going to tell us that you're not in any type of religious psychosis. All right, babes. All right, because most of them, you know what happens to a lot of these young people, because they're all over the place and it affects their mental health. So one day everything will be great and golden and the sun is shining and the Lord is coming and I'm so glad to be born again. The next minute, I just don't know why I'm just not doing it. I just can't handle it. I've got my uni work and I've got to lead this. So if you get family members doing that up, just be a support. Don't go rushing in like it's a cult. Just be like, oh, I'm so sorry, babe. Is there anything I could do to help? Don't demonize the cult. Let them cry to you, because if a survivor, I'm not saying 100%, it happens all the time, but I never used to show no emotions. And then one time, long story short, my boyfriend was unalived in police custody. Then my pastors got me to be their chauffeur to go to a funeral of a pastor that had unalived young, because a lot of people unalive young in these spaces. They're just rinsed out. And it triggered me so much because I hadn't been to a cemetery for so many years. And I got on the phone to my mum and I was like, I just haven't got over this. These times I'm married. I got my grown-ass kids. You don't understand what I'm saying to you? I'm like been in the ministry, but they just put a plaster over the trauma. So as soon as something comes up, it's like PTSD. It triggers it. And do you know what my pastor's wife said to me? Oh, Leah, get over it. She slapped me and she went, Leah, get over it. But about 2 years later, I left. So if you're getting like family members that you know are in these active, wacky, backy spaces and they start to cry or they open up to you, that could be an indication that they might be on the way out. because you're not meant to show emotions in there. You've got to be a robot. You've got to just be serving the Lord like a steward. So if you see any type of real emotion, that's indicative of, okay, that could be the beginning of them starting to come to the realization. And just pray for them, guys. And pray against the cults. Pray against the cults. Friends have it up on their bio. Yes, their whole life. They ain't got, oh, see, it becomes too dark when I do that. But my lighting with the sun. All right, I'll do it like this. Thank you for the follow. All right. Psychological harm, internalized shame, anxiety, depression, and learned helplessness. So again, it's the internalized shame and just of being a woman, of having certain thoughts as well. They do shame you a lot with what you wear. So you get forced into like looking like a, you know, like a washed up Salt Lake City polygamous wife. Structural consequences. So doctrine becomes policy. Women are excluded from leadership. Not in all cults. Some will exclude them from leadership, like Potter's House, and just say the woman can't preach, can't do nothing. Yeah. But in my cult, he has even female bishops, so they exploit the women through the roles. Do you understand? Because like it just depends. They make up the rules as they go along. If they have more women in the church than men, then they'll have that rule. You know, it's just how it goes. They make it up as they go along, literally. So they're denied autonomy or pressured into unsafe marriages. So there's a lot of arranged marriages. Guys, I know of this woman that was forced to marry this man, and he was at MESS and broke, and she didn't want to marry him, and they forced her because he was the pianist and she was a praise and worship leader. Guys, do you know that this guy was in a long-term affair with a woman from another branch that was in uni? And she's got 3 kids. One of the kids is his, apparently. And she told me this with her own mouth. She was getting the picture. And they know about this. So they've coerced and forced this woman to marry a man that she didn't even want. And now she's got a bag of kids with him, moved to Zurich or somewhere in Europe. And he's got hair in the UK with that gal. And that gal is still with the husband. Can you imagine? Because the husband can't afford to move out of the house. So do you see the things that these brokies have to deal with? So now he's just turned into an alky, like just going to the clubs, you know, like the uncles. That's how it happens a lot of the time as well, because they don't have enough money to move out and they have to stay with the woman, but they don't really want to be with the woman. And then the woman just puts up with it because she knows what she's done. So a lot of these wives are just, I told you, they're just retired 304s. That's all. Do you get it? Like, I'm not saying all, but I'm saying most. And then they cover it with all this hyper religiosity and, you know, it's like, no, babe, I know about you. All right. Signs that a sermon or teaching is being used to control you. This is a quick checklist. So the message reduces Vashti to a one-word moral: pride. You know, they demonize her without context. So they're not giving you any context. It's just human fecal matter. It's just word vomit, yeah, and misogyny. So the leader repeatedly links female obedience directly to protection or blessing and non-obedience to punishment. Stories of abuse get reframed as character problems, pride. So remember, he was calling her into the room to blow out her back, and she said no, which is within her right. But do you see how she gets demonized as the proud one? So do you see that there's women getting eaten from the great bowl by their own husbands? Just make sure it's not getting too hot. And it's fine, do you know what I mean? Because it's a woman's duty. She must give that to him all the time. And Anya Kapawa from NGRM, the false prophet, he said that he described it as food. And if your wife doesn't give you food, which is like the back getting blown out, then the man will go and find food elsewhere because he needs to eat. Isn't that that's just so narcissistic and misogynistic, isn't it? I mean, if ever I heard a quote about HATE towards women, it would be that. I mean, the most misogynistic and patriarchal tones and rhetorics you will find in these places of worship. It's absolutely heartbreaking. Yeah, it is, isn't it, Ines? The teaching isolates women socially, discourages outside counsel, legal help, or therapy. So they and that's why I think the aunties, we're seeing the exasperated mental health that we have today, because there's been no support for them to get mental health. No, they're not encouraged to get help outside of the self-sealing system. So it's just like these false prophets just filling their head with human fecal matter, and then they don't have a logic, and they can't critically think for themselves. And do you know who suffers? The kids when they grow up, they get out of control. They've got no control of them. And the parents are just blinded. They're so unaware to the things that their kids have suffered and experienced and gone through. And they have to hold that and deal with that in silence. I've heard of kids getting terminations and had to hide it from their mum and had to go through that at 15, 14 years old, 16 years old. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's been crazy, Jer. All right. Why this is dangerous. So let's look at some concrete harm. So it enables domestic and institutionalized abuse. Theological cover reduces accountability. Alita and Innes are going ham. I love it. Oh, I love you, queens. Oh, you're my queens. Tasia, I'm gonna make you a mod, yeah? I might have to take someone off because they want to get active. Tasia, they want to get active today, girl. They want to get active. You want to come and be a mod for me, girl, and just deal with it. Yeah, deal with it. Thick fast, deal with it. Deal with it. Because I know Tasia can do it up. Thank you, Queen. Ooh, we've got Lucia on here as well. Yeah, that's why, like, when I got these mods on. Yeah. All right, so silences survivors. Fear of being replaced or labeled prevents disclosure and keeps abusers in power. But do you see how the lack of accountability, because they wrap it and lace it in hyper-religiosity and scriptures that they've manipulated? We know the term for that. That's mystical manipulation, all right? So it normalizes sexual objectification, framing Vashti as a trophy, supports cultures where women are expected to be available for male demands, even against their will, all right? So institutional capture. So churches teach that churches that teach this without critique can become complicit in broader misogynistic political movements, a bit like Charlie Kirk and what's going on in the US. Do you remember I said that? Fear-based mind control is deep. Yeah. Do you know how deep that is, guys? That's the institutionalized capture. So that's what they were doing with Charlie Kirk. How crazy is that? So what survivors and allies can do, so recognize the tactic, name the scripture. I'm just going to say silence is compliance, all right? If you want the recommended reading, let me know. Now I'm going to move into Jezebel and Vashti, because you know they love a Jezebel and Vashti chair. Oh my God. You know they love to demonize up Jezebel and Vashti. So let's unpack it. I think I'm enjoying this more than you lot. I've got such a passion for this. I think what I'm going to do, because I do love like the Bible, and I love the scriptures, and as I'm healing, you know, I do want to get into this, but it's not going to be like the way they do our scriptures. I'm going to be exonerating people who have been silenced in the Bible. You know what I'm like, Chair? So we'll be talking about the warriors, the female warriors. We'll be talking about, you know, the priestesses, because they've demonized, because there's nothing wrong with a priest, and they're the ones PDFing all the kids and whatever, but a priestess is a witch and this and that. That's why they deleted Mary Magdalene. It's the truth. Majority of narcissist men are Jezebels. Yeah, they're the real ones. And they're such, they carry such female energy, so feminine, you know, like the top mogs and whatever. They're so feminine. Hey, Uncle Robs, they're not men. There's no men in there. There's no, they get stripped of all their masculinity, because the guy that's leading them, that they worship, a lot of them are just even on the DL, and a lot of them are like eunuchs, like they don't blow out their wife's back, so they become like young little boys flying all over the place. They're not men. They're not dealing with it at home. You get me? Emasculated, yes. And I've done a series on the emasculation of men in places of worship. If you wanted to go on my YouTube, Leah Lorda 7, you can get it there. Flamboyant. Oh my God, Blacklisted, you're such a queen, man. You always have the best things to say, Chair. That's exactly what it is, Queen. Chair. Miss Blacklisted knows, isn't it? All right. All right. Sorry, guys. I've got to go back up to that. I was getting excited. I was thinking, why am I talking about this? I've got to go up. This takes a lot of concentration. 1 second, guys. Okay, so I said I wasn't going to do that bit. All right. So now I'm going to do a cross comparison between Jezebel and Vashti and how they demonize women. So Jezebel and Vashti have both been historically demonized in gendered ways, because we know there's a lot of gender hierarchy and gender inequality in the canon Bible. So this is how they do it. Jezebel for being a foreign, politically active queen and for religious difference, and then Vashti for refusing a royal command and being labeled prideful. And remember, that was because she didn't want to get her back blown out. So it was within her right to not want to go into the king's chambers, all right? Or she just didn't want to. She wasn't happy, whatever. Feminist, historical, and pastoral scholarship increasingly rereads both women as figures who expose kingly abuse. Because again, do you see that the collective consciousness has raised? So now we understand about misogyny, we understand about patriarchy, we understand about psychology, we understand about, do you know what I mean? There's been a lot of developments in trauma and DV and coercive control. That wasn't there back then. So now it is. Now we know better. We're going to do better. You know them ones. But they just want to stay blinded because a lot of them are EVIL and they want the control over people. And guys, where there's people who have had this trauma, they don't know self, this, that, and the third, there will always be these EVIL places and spaces, yeah? So both these women are figures who expose kingly abuse, court politics, and double standards. And those rereads show how these stories get weaponized in places of worship to police women's behavior, silence complaints about abuse, and promote misogynistic theory. And promote misogynistic theology, sorry. Yeah, they've all got a God complex in there. They really believe they're God chair. All right. So now we're going to look into the quick text and contextual points and what the Bible says versus what is often read. Woo! 11. So this bit's important, guys. This bit's important. I'm going to do content on this, chair. I'm going to do content on this. I'm going to leave a bit earlier. I'll go to a nice little space and do some content on this and get it up. We've all been lied to. Yeah, it's true, girl. They did us so dirty, man. All right, so Jezebel, 1 Kings, 2 Kings, is presented as a Phoenician princess who promoted Baal worship and who is portrayed by the Deuteronomistic narrator as ruthless, but many scholars point out the narrative posture. Jezebel is foreign, female, and political, and her demonization often serves to mark a female political actor as the scapegoat, while male rulers like Ahab get less direct moral focus. In other words, the text and latter tradition focus/blame puts all the blame on Jezebel in ways that align with patriarchal expectations. I also want to say that, again, Ahab was in his feminine energy and he weren't doing nothing and he was getting walked all over. So Jezebel stepped up the plate. And to be honest, most of the Jezebels are the wives in there. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because the men are not in their masculine energy. They're not providers. They're not nothing. So the women control everything. They fight the wars. They are the men. They are very Jezebelic in nature. Yeah. That's why the men don't want to sleep with them. They don't want to be around them. They don't want to conversate. That's why they live in the places and spaces of worship, including the mogs. It's all for show, you know, like reputation. Vashti in the book of Esther, the short text gives us a biblical refusal. The king orders Vashti to appear before his court. Ancient sources read this as a humiliating command, possibly eggshell in nature. And Vashti's a queen, remember? She's not like Esther from the slums, yeah? Because like me, I'm from the hood, innit? The king's called me to the I'm going to be running in there, baby. I'm going to be prepared. Are you all right? I'm coming with the fragrance oil. What? He's taking me off the streets. Are you all right? Of course Esther's going to be licking them toes. Do you know what I'm saying? But Vashti's not, because Vashti had different upbringing. She grew different. But this is context, you see. And when they don't consider the context, this is when people get ABUSE'd. All right. So feminist readings emphasize agency and consent. Vashti says no to a humiliating demand and is punished for it, while Esther later says yes. Strategically, the stories later uses. Okay, so what that equates into is a good woman equals obedience and a bad woman equals disobedience. So when you're disobedient to your husband, you're a Vashti, you'll become replaced, you're proud, your husband gave you a last name and the kids, they make up like the husbands do. Yeah, they gave you the kids that the woman has to now provide for and break her back for. These men in the cult are LAZY. They appear LAZY, but they've just got they've got comorbid trauma, psychological trauma, and they don't know how to lead. They're not men. They don't know how to lead. They don't know how to provide. They don't know how to protect. They don't know how to hold. They don't even know how to hold the space for their wives. Like, even like their wife. Another thing that they do is there's a lot of emotional neglect in the marriages as well. So the wives will like cry in silence. That's why it gets so bad that they just go crying to the pastor. Oh, he won't talk to me. He won't. And then the pastor has to be telling the guy, but nothing changes, and they just stay in these relationships. It has to be really bad. You get me? Let me live in Vashti era then. You know them ones, girl. All of the lies and the twisted and manipulation of this book and what they've done is absolutely horrific. Absolutely horrific. All right. So now we're going to get into how kings, and then I'm going to take a break, and then we'll do the rest later. I'm waiting. Actually, I'm waiting. I can't go out until the fridge guy gets here. All right. You lot have got me for a little while then. All right. Ancient courts were run by men. So now we're going to look at how kings and male rulers are often eluded in these narratives. So I think maybe, because what I wanted to show is that Jezebel was just doing what all of the kings and leaders were doing at that time. Finging off, yeah, doing up. They were doing this up in the name of their gods or whatever. But why Jezebel was demonized? Because like, how dare you? How dare a woman do it? And when a woman does it, we don't play. It's a different type of energy. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like when a woman's got that balanced masculine, and that she can tap into that masculine energy real bad. And a lot of the men are not even in their masculine energy. They're in full-blown feminine energy. All right. So ancient courts were run by men whose decisions shaped outcomes. Ahab's political choices and the Persian king's command are central, yet sermons and popular readings shift the moral weight onto the woman. So do you see that Ahab wasn't strong enough to control his wife? He was a wimp, but they never blame the men. They don't cover that. They don't cover that Jezebel had to take care of business because Ahab wasn't taking care of business. They don't cover that. They don't want to talk about that, do they? And that's how the men are, the married men are. Do you get what I'm saying? They're like Ahabs. The married men are Ahabs in there. So this is a classical rhetorical move. Blame the women for social or religious disorder while absolving or minimizing male culpability, e.g. Ahab's weaknesses exerces abuse of royal power. Yeah, so Jezebel had to take over and handle ish. So scholarly work on Jezebel and recent articles about Vashti show this pattern. So again, that's the same, innit? Lacking accountability. And it's the same thing when women get the men eat from the great bowl, they essay them. It's always the woman's fault. I was told in my call, if something happens between a man and a woman, it's immediately the woman's fault because she has the power to open and close her legs. This is the same thing. Mechanisms of demonization, the moves leaders use in sermons or teachings. So we've got foreignness, which is the moral threat. So Jezebel's Sidonian origin and worship of Baal are highlighted to mark her as other, which makes it simple to label her as corrupt, temptress, because she didn't believe in what they believe in. Do you get it? Like what they're doing to us now. Are you not empathizing with Jezebel? Are you not understanding how people have been demonized? As I said to you, if there was a book written and you got like Dag, David Antry, you know, all these mobs, and they were writing a book, and imagine Tommy and Toby Ariomi, they do a Prince David, innit? Like, do you get what I'm saying? King David vibes. Just Preds peeping toms looking at Bathsheba showering from a distance. All right. That foreign woman historically targets women who exercise power, like the foreign woman rhetoric. Sexualized language and cosmetic tropes. Minano. Jezebel's portrayal often uses cosmetic eggshell metaphors, makeup, finery, to code her as actually dangerous. That cultural coding is used to shame and delegitimize women. So there we go. That's why the most RADICAL, they don't like makeup. They'll see you as a temptress, as a strange woman, as a Jezebel. That's how they paint it, because they've turned it into that. Binary moral framing, Vashti equals proud, rebellious, Esther equals humble, obedient, and that binary erases consent-based readings and treats refusals as sin. Refusals to not want to partake in getting her back blown out is a sin. So can you imagine that the ABUSE that wives are experiencing in these marriages? Because they marry some EVIL men. Because they're the most EVIL men that you could get are in these spaces. They're all in their chair, especially the Preds and the cheaters. Spiritualized language to justify control. Terms like Jezebel spirit or sermonized tales of Vashti are used to diagnose and excise rebellious women from congregations, which effectively polices women and protects powerful men. So it also silences women, and instead of like them speaking common sense, it's all through a lens of ABUSE, because they're narcissists, they're malignant narcissists, they don't have empathy, they can't feel, guys. All right, so how these interpretations keep women silent and internalize misogyny. Threat of spiritual labels, being branded as Jezebel or like Vashti, becomes a moral scarlet letter that discourages complaint or boundary setting, especially like if the girl's got her back blown out by a guy and she sees it as consensual, but this guy's a leader and she's only been in the cult for 3 months. That's an abuse of power and his leadership in his position. I had to break down to a survivor from Caris that it was coercion. And thank God all this stuff about steps has come out as well, because I think more Caris survivors will start to see that actually it wasn't, you were coerced, it wasn't consent. I can't go too much more into the details around that particular intimacy through coercion, because that survivor's not ready to tell her story. But I will tell you that allegedly there's a lot of pred, essay, and that type of stuff going on in Caris. So places of worship that use these labels teach women to doubt their rights to bodily autonomy. So to say yes, to say no. So the wives feel like, that's why the wives are so rinsed. Oh my God. And these men, like the uncles, they give themselves to everyone. Because, it's like energetic. And then they're just letting them just do their thing. And they just been with all these women. I think a lot of them might have a lot of undiagnosed STDs as well, because I've known of men, like married men, that have been sleeping with real block 304s. Do you know what I mean? That had chlamydia and that, and they've got it. And the thing is, a lot of the time they don't even know, and they're passing it on to the wife. It's crazy. Blame shifting for ABUSE, people just running around with the clap. Yeah, do you know what I'm saying, girl? And look, that's why I'm afraid. I'm afraid to open my legs. I'm very OCD. Because I couldn't take having an STD. I'm not gonna lie to you. I just don't think I could manage it, because I'm so OCD. I don't like uncleanness. I couldn't handle. Yeah, man. So I don't know, because a lot of these man them are dirty. Do you get what I'm saying, gal? Them, they just be putting it in anywhere. I'm not sure about this generation, but I go for my old school ones. But even so, as I said to you, a man in desperation. Do you know what I mean? They'll do it like, raw. They don't care. Do you know what I'm saying? They say, oh no, I use this, I use that. And then it's like, oh, whatever, babe. Just lying out of the skin of their teeth. All right. So leaders may interpret it like reports of ABUSE, reports of women saying that their pastor has been essaying them or whatever. It turns into an interrogation, grilling. Yeah, for the women. And they're called Jezebels, they're called harlots, they're called everything. And that is just to silence them. Normalization of male entitlement by reading king's orders as normative and women's refusals as the problem. So it's like the king's right, she's wrong. That was an order. She was supposed to obey that order like she's an object. Congregants learn that male desire / authority, like Vashti is a queen. Like Vashti is a hero. Like she stood up for herself in that time. Like she was that woke. Like she stood up for herself in that time and said, no, I don't want to. That's do you know how much of a human right that is? Like that's lower than low. Like that's like, so you don't even want a woman to have her basic right to when she has the choice to give her body or not. What? Wow. Exonerating Vashti and Jezebel. So plausible responsible reinterpretations are as follows. Vashti as a consent asserting figure, read as refusing a humiliating, possibly eggshell command from a king who treated her as an object. She was objectified. Her refusal can be framed as moral courage and bodily autonomy rather than pride. They called the woman proud. Feminist commentators and Jewish study scholars have argued this reading for years. Jezebel as a political queen and scapegoat. Many modern readings emphasize that Jezebel represented foreign political influence and religious plurality. Demonizing her serve to discredit political rivals and justify harsher measures against women in power. So do you see again, it's their misogynistic, patriarchal initiatives that they want to incorporate. That's the hidden agenda and motive, and so they demonize the woman through it. Also note that the image of Jezebel has been weaponized as a misogynistic slur across centuries and in modern context, even in like slang, like in the anti-Jezzy. Can you imagine? Including and including BLK women as well. There's a heavy emphasis on that. This rereads asks, would a male foreign minister be demonized in the same way? So if Jezebel wasn't a queen and it had been a king, it had been the other way around, would that leader have been demonized? Because I don't see David getting demonized. Do you know what I mean? For peeping on Bathsheba and then ordering her, she would have had to say yes to the king, and then taking someone else's husband and then putting Uriah, which was her husband, on the front line so that he would get unalived. That's why God made this his daughter get the son, her brother, ate out of the great bowl, the Absalom thing, and then later on he had to lose a youth from Bathsheba. Do you know what I mean? He had to. That's karma. That's you reap what you sow. That's the universal laws, because God, that's a law that God's put into the ether. It's in the atmosphere. There's nothing that God can do about it. That's why he said that he would have to pay for what he's done. That's the universal law of karma. But they demonize things. I mean, I don't care anyway, because I know what I'm talking about, babe. I know what I'm talking about. I mean, I care. Listen, all it is God talking to you. It's not no powerful revelation. It's not the secrets of God hidden. They do it like that because they're magicians, they're illusionists. They want to thief your money. The information, revelation, whatever of God should be given freely. It's got that all over the Bible. It's been given freely unto you. It's free. Like everything Christ did was free. Christ never asked for no money. He was always doing and giving. Instead of them thieving people's money, they should be multiplying them that bread and that fish and turning water to wine. You get me? And stop frigging lying to people and deceiving them. Miss El Rose in the car. Hey, Queen. Yeah, they didn't call Solomon a witch when he was practicing alchemy. Girl, you gonna make me get out my Chris. The survivors on TikTok are doing a lot. Let's get into it. Now, Tasia, I haven't gone into the Book of Solomon. You know, there's a Book of Solomon that they've also hidden. And apparently, that's got all the alchemy in it, innit? And the wisdom of Solomon. But I believe that a lot of these cult leaders, they read these books behind the scenes. Yeah. I want to get into that. So, and do you see how they do so much information control? They say all you need is the Bible. You don't need anything outside of it. If you go too far outside the Bible, God, the devil's going to take you. Everything you need has been put in the Bible. These times there's a whole book of Solomon and Apocrypha. They say he has a secret room as well. There's nothing evil about alchemization. Alchemy is just like your gifts, the exchange of exchanging your gifts into. So like the celebrities and stuff, they're all alchemists. Not all the celebrities, but like Cardi B, people like that who alchemize their gifts and they turn it into wealth, into money. I see myself as an alchemist. I just need to get the wealth. That part of it, you get me, but it's in there. Yeah. Tasia, we need to go out for a drink, yeah. Tasia said it's early science. I salute you, girl. You've really been the survivors have been deconstructing. This is thinging me on. Oh my God. Oh, chair. Some of you survivors are lucky I don't swing that way, chair. But I would be a player. Because so many of you lot are so beautiful. I don't think I could be LGBTQ+. I'd be a 304. Because of my masculine energy, I know how I treat men. I'd be a 304. I'd be a HOE. Because I'd be the mask one, do you know what I'm saying? And I'll just have bare gal. All right. And then everyone would be talking about me on TikTok. The LGBTQ plus community. It would be all over. All right. We got all my LGBTQ plus in the cup for being your true, authentic self, for overcoming years of demonization. You know what I mean? I love the LGBTQ plus community. I think they can relate to us, you know, like especially as BLK people. Because they've been through a lot, man. I'm not comparing it to say that they've been through the same as us BLK, but they're still dealing with their stuff outright to this day. Do you know what I mean? That's terrible. All right. Right. Guys, I know my crisp eating might be a bit annoying, but it's just when Tasia started doing up all of that, I needed to get food. Should I go and have a break and come back? Or do you want me to tell you the last bit? Oh, let me finish. Should I finish this bit? How much is there? Oh my God. You know, I've really overdone it, you know. I've got a lot. Oh, Tasia, you're such a queen. Oh, you're good energy, girl. I really like you. Alita's saying it's ASMR. Oh my God, I love you lot so much, man. Oh my God. You lot, I hope that I get really rich and famous off this, and then I can take all the survivors on a big holiday. I'd just be doing stuff with the survivors, you know what I mean? Pray for me, oh. Because if I win, we all win, guys. I'm being so serious. I'm being so serious. I put it all back into the Hope CIC. We would all win. Oh, did I make you get Chris? So you lot pray for me, oh. Pray for me, oh. I pray that God bless me with money. I know what I will do. I will change so much. Thanks for the follow, babe. Because I am wealth. I am a bag of money. I'm not a pick-me. As you said, I think I'm an alchemist. I'm a whole bag of money. I'm artwork. I'm Renaissance. I'm Mona Lisa. I don't worship money. Money worships me. I am money. I don't care. All I have to do is get dressed up and go Mayfair. That's it. Or go on Match.com. I don't care. I don't care. There's literal men that will buy my life. I don't care. I don't care. My aesthetic, the YT Richie man love me. I don't care. All men, there's all different types of men love me. I don't care. I really don't. All right. So let's get into all right. So Vashti. We're Vashti's, isn't it? Yeah, man. We're Vashti's. Let's change the rhetoric, Tasia. Born a blood clot queen. Standing up for women's rights. Political activist. Knows her worth. Vashti knew her worth. She was probably, that was probably an arranged marriage. Vashti probably thought she was too nice for Ahab. And do you see, that's the woman that, oh my God, you lot, we're coming to so many revelations. That's what they do with the pretty girl, the baddies. They demonize it like Vashti because Vashti is a baddie. Vashti is the baddie of the Bible, just like Jezebel. They are the baddies. They're the ones that don't have it. The pennies dropped. The penny just blood clot dropped. That's why then there's no pretty privilege, because these women must have just been absolutely stunning. And then on top of that, and you know the men, they get turned on by that as well. They can't help it. They say this isn't what they want, but it is. Because these men will become weak in my presence. These type of men become weak. They become speechless. They don't know how to handle the Queen Vashtis of this world. They just can't. That's why he couldn't. It hurt his ego. It bruised his ego. That's why he called for Esther. But Esther's the backup. Esther was from the streets. Vashti was born a queen, so she didn't need to beg no one. She didn't feel grateful for being in the castle because she came from wealth. This is the context. So how can you put two people and demonize one and say she's a 304, she's a this, she's a that, but the other one is about humility and whatever? What? It don't make no sense. Esther was running in the room. Esther's ready to do gymnastics. Esther's because she comes from the slums and she wants to save all her people. She doesn't care. She'll do anything to save her people. Do you see the context, the desperation? Vashti didn't have a whole nation that she needed to save. Vashti wasn't from the slums and needed to save all her people. That was not it. Vashti probably married him as a result of some sort of him becoming more powerful with the alliance. She probably comes from, she did come from a wealthy, are you all right? Of course, Vashti and Esther are not the same, but they want to rewrite it. They want to twist and manipulate it to demonize women and suppress women so that women are not walking in their true authenticity. Because when you wear makeup or you like fashion or you look good, you're a Vashti, you're a Jezebel. Do you see? That's why the quiet and nice ones are demonized. Big Vashti, not a little one. Big V in this bumba ras clot. Do you get me? That's what we're doing up, Miss Our Rose, because they've completely ruined our psyches with all of this human fecal matter. That's why they used a woman. The thing which they hate, God has used. What they hate, God has used to take them down. And that's what God will do, like, because you don't mock God. God's ways are higher than our ways. Like, we can't know God's ways. That's why when I was in the cult, I didn't even know that God had planted me as a seed in the cult. You can't play with God, man. God planted me in there like the chip. Because we are technology. Our brains, whatever. How do you think they developed like computers? And we have DNA inside of us. Are you all right? Thanks for the follow. Look, go into the pyramids. Go into ancient Egypt. Technology we are technology there. It's all been deception. Thanks for the follow, my love. It's all lies. That's why I said to you, like, they don't know nothing. They're just they're spiritual criminals. Do you understand what I'm saying? So now they're getting their karma served from the universe because the universe sees and knows. Don't play with God. God will have you thinking that you've made it, that you've crossed the finish line, you've got this, and bring you right down. Pride comes before a haughty fall jail. And that's what we're seeing because they're all proud. They're all proud. Pride comes before a haughty fall. So these monks or whatever, you can't chat to them. If Jesus Christ came back tomorrow and tried to get into one of these places of worship, he couldn't even get past to get the mic. And they're supposed to be worshiping him there because there's so much control. It's their businesses. And they think their pastors and mogs are these great guys because they've got grandiose ideologies of themselves. So they've got police and they're willing to do anything to protect the pastor, even if it would mean committing GBH against Jesus Christ, their Lord and Savior, because they wouldn't be able to recognize him, you see, because they're all brainwashed. They're all like that on David Antry and Dag. So if Christ was to walk in, they would put hands on him. They would talk to him like human fecal matter. Their whole concentration is the cult leader. All right, it's to the cult leader. So that's why when they're trying to gaslight me online and talk human fecal matter, I'm just human fecal matter on these 304s. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm at this point, I'm floating on business. At this point, I'm floating on business because I'm no longer sitting because God is just holding me. I'm just going to be floating along now because the Lord has arrived. I don't even know what's going to happen, but I know God is here. I can feel God now coming into the situation. And you know, I've never said that this whole time. I feel something is coming. I don't know what it is, but God is going to move. I can just feel it. It's just a knowing. And that's why when you get to know God, it's a within. I don't need to quote scriptures. It will happen. And then when it happens, you'll be like, Leah, remember when you said the same thing I was saying in the lead up to Charlie Kirk? I was saying something's not right. Because you become one with the universe. Mad, isn't it? That's what you need to be trying to do, guys, is get back in touch with the earth. Because before they started, thanks for the follows, before they started doing up capitalism and building all these roads and ruining our planet, our poor planet, I was on here bawling my eyes out a couple of weeks ago, like just like the childbirth, the pains of Mother Earth, and all that we've put the earth and planet through. Do you know we were supposed to just walk barefoot on grass? Because God actually created our feet. That's what I was thinking about the other day. Is it God just thought about absolutely everything for us? The grass, you know, because grass is soft. It's especially made for our feet. Like, I'm sure they got the idea of carpet from grass. Everything begins and starts with nature. Do you know what I mean? It's got that infinity, that continuum. Oh, I just love nature. Nature saved my life. And I just, You know, it's just free, and nature is always there. And God moved me into a beautiful home, guys, in the sticks, a beautiful country home. And there were so many signs and synchronicities to just let me know that it was God. And the way that my home is positioned, I just have the whole night sky above me. And when I open my windows right up, and there's a beautiful moonlit evening with stars, and I can see you can see the planets from afar at times. And it's just spectacular. And I'm just so thankful and grateful that I have this connection with nature, and I just feel so peaceful and so free. And I love myself, I love myself, and I love the gift of nature, and just that it's all here. But that's what they'll do. They want you to be materialistic and superficial. So the things that can really help you, they demonize. They don't want you to get access to it, because they want to feed off you, off your supply. They want to teeth your money. Because if you realize that instead of going to that place of worship and spending £200 and giving your time, you could just go to the park and slip off your feet, put your feet in some grass for 10 minutes and just be still, and then you'll be fine for the rest of the day. That's literally how easy it is. Literally, when you get that connection to nature and God, and you understand what it's all about. So you've got to research into what grass is, like what the properties are that are in earth, that are in grass. Really understand it. So as you're putting your feet, it's not just like I'm going and I'm putting my feet on the grass. You need to have the knowledge behind it, so that it makes sense. That's why for lack of knowledge our people perish, because without knowledge you can't understand. And everything's in the mind. It's all in the brain. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So we create our reality and whatever by thought. Some people don't believe that, but I definitely do. That might not resonate with everyone. Do you know what I mean? Because I think predestination is tightly knitted with that as well. Let he who has an ear hear. Do you get me? Because they can't hear. That's why Christ said they have an ear, but they can't hear. They have eyes, but they can't see. So it's the blind leading the blind. Okay. All right, let's go into it. Guys, when I'm exposing like this, this is when I feel like I feel so much. They would call it deliverance, but I'm not going to call it deliverance. I'm just going to say when I'm exposing them, I'm feeling good. All right. We've done the exonerating them, haven't we? Oh my God, guys, I think I've done this. Oh no, wait, I was on the other bit. Okay, all right. So Vashti, re-seeing her. Why patriarchal preachers avoid this lens? Because empathy with Jezebel and Vashti exposes hypocrisy. Also, they're malignant narcissists, so they lack empathy. Okay. If kings could fight for their gods and men could assert dominance, then Jezebel and Vashti deserve the same recognition, because we didn't have equal rights. Remember that, because of the misogyny and the patriarchy. And this is a patriarchal lens of Christianity. Okay. But now that we're moving into matriarchy and women are waking up, it's undeniable. So the only ones that are left in there they just absolutely HATE themselves, and they haven't healed from the trauma. That's why they're still in the abusive marriage, and that's why they're still in the places of worship, because the place of worship canoodles, and it validates the ABUSC that they're going through. So they can all be in there. Hey, Oracle Mama, they can all be there acting fake and keeping up appearances and reputation. So that's why these environments it is so low vibrational. It's so EVIR. You feel more drained than uplifted, because everyone in there is just draining your energy. Everyone's on that low vibration and very desperate as well. There's an air of desperation. So when you're in these cults, like it will come across as desperate. You will have that desperation, because that's how they program people to be desperate for the anointing, desperate for the man of God, desperate for this. So they're just desperate in general. And that's why people reject them, because people don't really want to, they don't like that vibe, like the desperation. And people are like healing now. And also people are thinking, like, why are you like that? Why are you so up in my face? They're caught between a rock and a hard place now, because everybody knows that it's fake. If Jezebel, because empowered women break the system. If Jezebel is seen as heroic and Vashti as dignified, then women in these places of worship might recognize their own power to say no to abuse, to fight for their beliefs, to hold their ground against coercion. So, and when Dag was preaching the message on this, I could see so many women, like I'm going to do close-ups of all the women's faces. There's so much cognitive dissonance discussed, because the body doesn't lie. The facial expressions, the body language, so we can see it all in the congregation. We don't need to ask them what they think. And you know why he went into this whole rant of Vashti and breaking down women and demonizing them is because it looks like the guy's wife has left him. Do you remember when I did that piece on the woman that was with Wycliffe Jean? Oh, some mad story of a pastor's wife that was doing up like reggaeton. Guys, I don't even know. It's just the MESS. I'm not going to get through it today because it's just a lot. But anyway, she's left the pastor, and Dag's all saying when he brings his replacement and all of that, how he's talking about women. It's mad. I hope people will have the common sense to leave that cult, because he's just absolutely repulsive. So a lot of the time when people see Dag preaching for the first time, they'll just leave. So it makes it so hard to recruit the people, because you're nice and you're trying to do everything you can, but the pastors are just, it's just the energy and the aura is so dark that the members put in so much energy to convince the people that this guy is like a real mog, like he's a real, they will do so much. They'll bang on about this part, nothing about Jesus, because you don't need convincing, but you need convincing to believe that this guy is a prophet. So that's where they'll bring in all the church cult promo. Oh, my life has changed. I used to bun. I used to do this. Yeah, because you've changed, like, you know, taking the leaf to now being outside 24 hours a day, trying to talk to people that don't want to know you. And then you're locked up in your room doing Shabaya Satada. That's the addiction. That's what you've changed it to, being in the cult 24 hours a day and coming online all the time, talking like this, like reality TV, hyper religious, you know, religious psychosis. Like, that's what you're doing up now. You look like nitties. The way you lot go on with people is you man them on man them. It's given that you're trying to move to next man. And then the other ones, you're just moving like absolute nitties outside in these streets, because people don't want to know. But it's so, bruv, you got anything, bruv? You got any? That's how you move. It's like desperation. It's just like, people don't want that. And then all of the women that are trying to come and talk to us about husbands and this and that, they're at MESS, they're pick-me's. Everyone can see it. And because the pick meeting, so many women are waking up and getting empowered, divorcing from them, leaving religion, all of this. It's just too much for them. Their normal tactics won't work. And I'll be exposing it all. All right. The danger for women and the opportunity for survivors. Internalized misogyny, constant demonization makes women fear their own strength, doubt their boundaries, and label other women as proud or Jezebel. So do you see how the women get turned into men, and then they're policing the other women? So instead of them being in their feminine energy, focusing on being beautiful, they just get rinsed out. Look at MESS. They just look washed up, and then they're looking at other women, jealous, projection. Because that's the good thing, isn't it? To be modest, to be an Esther, to be pure. So why are you hating? If that's what you want, and you within, you're happy with self, and you love Christ, you love the Lord, you love yourself, why are you projecting and hating on other women? And we can see it in your facial expressions. Because you can lie, but the body keeps us all. The body language will always tell us the truth, and the vibes and energy. And that's why, as people are waking up, they can do all of this, and people will even smile with you, same way. But when they leave it, I'm not coming back there. Something was off. Because people ain't DUMB anymore. People are awakening. We're going through a mass spiritual awakening, not a revival, an awakening. Okay. All right. So liberation through retelling. When women reclaim Jezebel as a political queen fighting for her people, and Vashti as a queen protecting her dignity, they reframe themselves not as rebellious, but as courageous, autonomous, and worthy of respect. So key takeaways. And I'm ending on this, and then I'll be back later. And I'm going to do some content, guys, because this is too good to not put in content. I'm going to push myself, even if I just do it in my bonnet like I've done it on here, because I want this content to stay up. Although we've got it in YouTube, I want to do it in a series, a couple of parts, and do like smaller chunk size. Guys, what's the longest I should do my videos on this topic? What would you, because I don't care about anyone else. I care about the survivors that are on here. What's your attention span? Like, how long? What feels comfortable for you? All right, so key takeaways, guys. These are the key takeaways. Jezebel wasn't just a villain. She was a queen fighting for her people's gods like Mel Kings did. She got demonized because she wasn't a man, because there's still so much misogyny. There wasn't any women's rights. In the biblical days, women were treated lesser than cattle. Oh, thingy saying up to 35 minutes. Oh, maybe I should do it on my YouTube then. All right, I'll do it on my YouTube. I'll do one for the YouTube, and then I'll chop it into pieces. That's a good idea. Because I need to get this out there. I need to start exonerating. 1 second, guys. That might be the fridge guy. Oh, I'm coming. Guys, 1 second. I've just got to let in the engineer. Sorry, guys. The guy's here to fix my fridge freezer chair. I just said to him, if you can't fix it, just write it off, bro. Do you know what I mean? Stop coming and saying you need to do parts. I can't, I'm having to buy all of this food out, chair. Do you know what I mean? My kids get home cooked food. I've got nowhere to store it. They demonize sensuality and femininity in my cult. Oh God. Ruth, your comments are triggering. Can you stop putting so much scriptures up? Otherwise, Missile Rose will have to block you. We don't want all of that up in here because it's giving cultural, like you're just putting random scriptures up and no one wants that. You're going to have to go and find a Christian live on YouTube if you want to do that up. And to trust me, there's loads of wacky backy prophets and whatever. There's an infiltration, so it won't be hard. I enjoy going to the beach. I just like the sound of the ocean. It's so comforting. Yeah, well, that was when I was talking about nature, innit? Oh, the beach is, it doesn't even need to be warm. Just the beach, just to ground yourself, like again in the sand, just be next to nature, next to the ocean, just hearing the waves. Actually, do you know what? That is a really good way to be still. I can't lie to you. A good way to be still is to go and sit near the ocean in complete silence and just be still and hear the waves. Oh God, guys, I'm telling you, that can do so much for the soul. Because what we've been taught, everything's become really materialistic in the world. Don't get me wrong, I like nice things, but this is not the true wealth. True wealth is authenticity. True wealth is, you know, like if you're praying or you're trying to manifest wealth, if you say wealth to God or the universe will give it back to you in authenticity, in self-love, in growth, in whatever, because that is how God understands wealth. They have changed the meaning for things here, and they've turned wealth into a piece of paper with King Charles's face on it, or whoever the leader or ruler is, in, you know, or if it's America, what is it? Is it the evil eye and the pyramids, whatever they're doing up? So that's not wealth to God, unfortunately. Okay, wealth is, that's within the person. That's the wealth. Like if a person's kind, if they've got a beautiful soul, if they have wisdom, knowledge, you water your soul with knowledge. Like God didn't create. This is all man-made, including religion. It's all man-made, including religion. Man-made. Religion is man-made. Like the blocks are man-made, trains, cars, the things that are ruining the planet. God never made these things. It's not been intended to be like this. It's an MESS. We've got to go backwards so we can go forwards. The whole thing needs to be done out. And I feel like God is doing like a spiritual Noah's Ark where all of the false prophets, there's a washout. They're all getting washed out. And the true sons and daughters of God are rising up now. And TikTok's been very helpful with that. Getting like a lot of the chosen to be out, like speaking. Anyone could just come on and speak now, and it's what's resonating. So we're able to be on a higher frequency. Do you get it? Because everything's about frequency and vibration. That's why they've demonized it, because they don't want you lot to know the truth. And as I get into more frequency and vibration, I'll be sharing that with you lot. Because I think once I start to move into frequency and vibration, but what I'm trying not to do is just get all this knowledge, because that's how people go into psychosis. So what God has been telling me is to just, the race is not for the swift. It's like the words I got in the beginning was like, I'm running a marathon. I need to take my time. You can stop for water. The important thing is that you finish. It's not about getting there first. It's not about, do you know what I mean? It's about just getting to that finish line. And that's how I see life. I'm in my own lane. I'm not looking left and right, looking upon what other people are doing. I don't care. They're studying everything I'm doing. Thank you, Oracle Mama. They're studying everything. They're studying how my brain works. They're getting people to come and sit and watch, to report. Because what I'm doing is triggering. It's effective. But what they're doing, it doesn't affect me. I don't care. So you get the live locked off. I can just start a new one. You don't even, TikTok is so easy now. It's just 200 people to get on live, babe. It really, like people get, their accounts get lock off every day on TikTok. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. It's so easy to grow on TikTok, chat. Are you all right? I've got 8 accounts. You can't stop it. Yeah. So there's a lot of EVIL. They like to silence people as well. These church cults, like to ABUSE women and silence them. All right. So Jezebel wasn't a villain. She was a queen fighting for her people's gods, like Mel Kings did. Vashti wasn't proud. She was a queen who said no when her dignity was on the line. Both stories, reread, give women permission to see their own strength, the right to consent, their right to stand their ground. even when patriarchy says otherwise. So they were goats. What are you talking about back in that day? But they unalived Jezebel, innit? Was it the prophets? But I don't care. Like, I'm the same as Jezebel. I don't care. I'm going to fight for my God. If it means I unalive in the end, so be it. I'm on that. So what Jezebel, it resonates with me because I'm on the same thing. I don't care. Because it's been done by then. The damage has been done. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, what I came to do has been done. I don't care if I end up going in the process of it. That's what they don't understand. Like, gal like me, we're not okay. The gal like me from the hood, you just don't. These aren't the type of gal that you want to war with. These ain't the type of gal that you want to have beef with. You know, we're just known as being unstable in the hood. Do you get what I'm saying? Like the gal like me, you don't want none. Do you know what I mean? I'm just always with the man them, like all over the place. Like, you don't want none. Like, the gal them don't see me as a threat. People just see me as untapped. Do you understand? I don't care. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, God definitely chose the right board for the job. I'll tell you that. That's all everything. Because I don't care. Hey, Curvy Vibes, I really, really don't care because that's my mindset. That's how I've always been. Like, I don't care. Like, these man them that are in there, it's a joke. All right. Wait, I just want to get to this. All right, let me do a little bit of this whilst my finger's getting fixed. Yeah. So many early texts, traditions, and social movements centered women like Mary, Vashti, Jezebel, house church leaders. But as Christianity institutionalized and empire/elite men gained control, female voices and alternative gospels like the Gospel of Mary were marginalized. And that marginalization became theological cover-up to police women's bodies and leadership. They've always wanted to control the women because the leaders of old, if you go and look at them, like Cleopatra, you know, there's Isis, there was a lot of like goddess worship, and the women had the power. So the men came and introduced patriarchies that they could have the power. So this is why we're taking our power back. You'll see in what's going on with the women. We're not having a bar of it. All right, let's look at the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. They tried to say that they couldn't authenticate it. Let's take a deeper dive into it. So what is it, what it teaches, and why it matters? So the Gospel of Mary Magdalene is an apocryphal Gnostic text surviving in a Coptic manuscript. And it's small Greek fragments that I think they found in a pot. It's not part of the canon New Testament and was probably composed later. Scholars date it to the 2nd century or latter. But I've heard that it would have been in the Gospels. Anyway, there's a lot of different information. The text presents Mary Magdalene as a visionary and an authoritative teacher who receives private instruction from the risen Jesus and comforts, teaches the other Bibles. So she had a leadership position and she had influence. So core themes within the Mary Magdalene Gospel is inner knowledge. So that's gnosis. I didn't even know that, you know, when I was saying gnosis and all that. That's so mad. So again, that comes from within. I have so much love for Mary Magdalene, and she was so powerful that I don't even want to get emotional. Let me try and get through this without crying. Mary Magdalene was so powerful and so devoted to Christ that even after this church cult in 18 years, like, you know, most people just been atheists, and there's nothing wrong with that. But because of the deep connection that I had with Mary Magdalene, I just couldn't let Christ go. Because as a woman, I said, there's no way that a woman's going to do something like that act of worship and adoration and passion. There's no way in the act of the alabaster, but like, I just feel it. It's a within thing. It's a within thing. And so for me, Mary Magdalene is such an important part of the gospel, and they've just taken her out. She keeps the story, just the whole memory of Christ, everything alive. It lives on through her, in the women that are warriors, in the women that are priestesses, in the women that are, you know, women of God. Do you understand? Like women we can be what we want. Do you understand what I'm saying? And Christ, he and that's another reason why they wanted to put him to unalivement, because he was moving with all these unmarried women, and that was forbidden. So he was looking like a PIMP. So when they're saying that Christ was hated by the world, no, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. He was HATE'd by the Pharisees, my love. They are the worldly people. They don't get it, do they? They don't see that they're the Antichrist chair. They don't see it. But everyone's waking up now. All right. Chaos. Spiritual authority and Mary's special understanding. In the surviving fragments, Mary guides other disciples, offers interpretation of visions, and is presented as the one who understands. For lack of knowledge, our people perish. The one who understands. So that understanding. Remember, I said to you, like, if you understand, that's different. The disciples didn't understand Christ up until Christ's unalivement. They still didn't understand and were denying him. Yeah, it was Mary and the women that were the first one at the cross of Jesus and the last one at the feet of Jesus Christ. It was the women that were faithful with Christ until the end, not the disciples. But they don't want to talk about it. It was the mother Mary, it was the other Mary, and then it was this Mary, wasn't it? Was it Mary Martha or something? So, or Martha, that, you know, it was all the women. That the men were nowhere to be seen. The men were running for their lives. When Christ was asking the disciples, like, if they understood it and whatever, I didn't go to RPF, I went to Daggy with Mills Cole. So it's like, it's very interesting, guys, that when your eyes become opened, once you see it, you can't unsee it. The people that, it's not that the people in there, they don't want to see it, that it's because of the indoctrination. Do you understand? A lot of women are deep into marriages. They know that they're not happy with the guy. They know what I'm saying is true. So they can't engage with the content because they want to live, they want to be in cognitive dissonance because the truth hurts. The truth hurts. Are you ready to face the truth? Because I had to face the truth. So, y'all are going to have to. I had to face the truth during the pandemic. That why I was in a cult for 18 years. I had to face that truth. I almost deleted myself. I almost lost my kids because I went so mad. I didn't even know if I could care for my kids. I had to go through all of that through my psychotic breakdown. Are you all right? Everybody's going to know about it. Everybody's going to hear my raw for the rest of my life. Everybody. And if I unalive for the cause, so be it. Because I'm writing a book. My works will live on. It's too late. I don't care. Nothing gets deleted off the internet. The damage is done. That's why I do the content like I don't know if I'm going to wake up tomorrow. Because no man is promised tomorrow. Everyone has an expiry date. It's appointed a time for a man to unalive. That's facts. Which is why some called her an apostle to the apostles, because of her understanding and because of how Christ favored her in a theological sense. The role challenges the latter male-dominated leadership model. So everything that the patriarchs, their imperial power and all of their social structures of the time, everything they had and all of that, it was the total antithesis of what Jesus Christ came to teach. And he was saying, I am from God, this is from God. But they thought they had all the answers. They thought they knew it all. They used to carry scriptures like the word on plaques. They don't carry plaques now, but they carry it like a plaque of pride in all these scriptures that they can recite and regurgitate. But they're so evil in the heart. So they know the word, but they're so far away from God and they're so far removed from Christ and the word of God. And that is why they are perishing. That is why they are getting washed up. That is why in this time they're so deep in. They know it's true deep down inside, but they got to keep their backside in their chair. You're too full of fashion, like to be up underneath pastors' batik crease and whatnot. So why it was sidelined, it's a part of a wider group of non-canon writings that did not make it into the later institutional canon. So it didn't quite make the cut. It didn't make the cut. Why didn't it make the cut? Let's find out. And it didn't make the cut for theological and political reasons, diverse beliefs, contested authority, and because the church post-Constantine favored texts that supported hierarchical male leadership. This is ChatGPT. This is all the factual sources out there. It has consult. So this is facts. This isn't what your pastor said he hears from God last night in a dream. These are factual articles. This is factual information. Okay, darling? Okay. All right. That doesn't mean the Gospel of Mary is false. It means it represents another early Christian viewpoint that the institutional church later marginalized, like the Gnostic texts that they were worshipping for 300 years, which we will get into. Mary Magdalene's title, roles, and common misrepresentations. So she was called an apostle to the apostles. The canon Gospels name Mary as the first witness of the empty tomb, a leadership role, and several early Christian voices and modern scholars read this as the highest apostolic testimony. She is the one who announces the resurrection to the others. The Gospel of Mary and other apocrypha amplify the leadership. So in the apocrypha, there's female prophetesses in there. There's more accounts of the women. So also the Schmegs worker slur. Nowhere in the canon Gospels is Mary explicitly called a Schmegs worker. They wanted to demonize her because they've done that throughout the thread of the canon Bible with Jezebel, with whatever, but it didn't work. They weren't able to erase her because of her divinity, because of the significance that the part and the significance that she plays just within the whole of Christianity and what she was chosen for, which I'm not going to talk about because I think everybody has to be on their individual path with that. And, you know, the gospel of Mary Magdalene and what she's done for me and the impact that she's had on my life, that might not resonate. But what I will say is, if you do come from a trauma of like SA, eating from the great bowl, I would advise doing this up, yeah, reading Mary Magdalene's gospel. So the association of her being a Schmegs worker that association was developed later. Church tradition conflated several women, e.g. the unnamed anointing woman, Mary of Bethany, and Mary Magdalene, and was reinforced in medieval preaching and art. The Schmegs worker image has been used for centuries to shame and decenter her authority. Practical ministry and sacrifice. Gospel and extra canon references indicate Mary and other women supported Jesus's movement materially and traveled with itinerant ministry groups. I don't know what that means, Chair. With different ministry groups. That implies financial sacrifice, travel, and leadership that have been minimized by later patriarchal retellings. So all of her sacrifice, everything she did, everything, they just tried to like put her in there as like, oh, she's done this alabaster box thing. And they've tried to like belittle Mary Magdalene's role, and they don't talk about her a lot. The most that you'll hear them say on Easter Sunday is, we can't talk about the story of the crucifixion of Jesus Christ without mentioning Mary Magdalene. There's her claim to fame. The alabaster box, the anointing, symbolism, and likely use. So what it was, the alabaster box refers to a small, expensive container, alabaster or similar stone. Ooh, so it was made out of stone, was it? Devil, witchcraft, new age, demon. Used to hold costly oil or perfume. Like, I love to make oils and perfumes, and I have these little containers and jars that I put it in and whatever. These are very ancient, old, sacred practices. Do you understand what I'm saying? Which they've demonized, especially for the women. That's why I say go within, because you might want to like work with flowers and have flowers in your home, or, you know, make your own oils or your own creams. This is femininity. This is what the women, that these were like the sacred practices that they had, you know, back in the day. So we just need to become really in tune with it. So the alabaster box held costly oil or perfume. In the gospel scenes, anointings such as an item signifies great devotion and a gift of value, sometimes understood as preparation for burial, sometimes as extravagant worship. It's an act of honor, not schmeg. But I think Mary Magdalene came from money, so I think she was more of an aristocrat, like maybe a Kim K, or, you know, like a famous, like she would have been a celeb. That's what I think. And then, you know, she turned to her Lord and Savior. But even so, they've tried to demonize her as a schmegs worker. Okay, it's an act of honor and an act of love and an act of worship. So what it implies about Mary bringing an alabaster box is wealth or sacrificial giving. She gave her most costly thing. They will also use this to manipulate women to give everything they've got as well. And a public statement of devotion, another counter to the Schmegs worker smear campaign, is that this was a sign of spiritual agency. So I really do get the vibe of her, like she was very like independent, like, you know, a leader, like leading, I believe, men and women. And I just think they wanted to demonize her because they just wanted to make everything patriarchal. Because when you hear these misogynists speak, they'll say God the Father, Jesus the Son, and then they'll say the Holy Spirit is a him. It's just patriarchy in its finest. But I think the revelation that we're all awakening to is the fact that, you know, religion's not real, it's man-made. But the people in the self-sealing system, they've been in there for years, so they don't have a choice. They've got to believe in it. Do you know what I mean? Because their whole world would fall apart. People who are into religion, they're running from self and trauma. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's all it is. So you've got to leave people to make that choice. If people want to do religion, for some people, that's the only way they would survive mentally. We can see that they've lost it. Do you know what I mean? And they're all so proud, pointing fingers at each other, because that's what religion would. I'm the true religion. I'm the true religion. I'm the true one. That's why I just leave them to fight amongst themselves. I can see them arguing and going back and forth. I'll just be sitting there eating my steak and laughing. Because when you got that gnosis knowledge, you realize that Christ isn't even about religion. He came to tear that all down. So that's foolishness. That's a really low vibration. And then they'll come and ask me, do I know Christ? And think that I'm the Antichrist. But they're the ones arguing over each other. It's so low vibrational. Yeah, she must have been a leader, because why were they intimidated by her? Because she held the secrets. Mary Magdalene holds the secret knowledge and truth of Christ's teachings. That's why they did that. And apparently she had to flee to France, because that's where I went on my pilgrimage to Marseille. I know there's certain texts and certain people that believe that she was the wife of Christ. I haven't gone down that path enough to research it, but I just don't want to go down there, because I feel like that might make me go a bit off. Because of the indoctrination, I was in the cult for too long. 18 years is too much of a long time. And I think if I started to try and process ideologies of Mary being his wife, I just think that would just make me turn crazy. But if it is the truth, say like that is because I don't know what's out there, then that's something I would have to, because they demonize women, they demonize everything. There's so much lies that I don't know the truth from falsehood. So I've just going down this healing journey, and I don't know where it will take me or what the other end that I will come out of. But I definitely believe in Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene 100%. So the Gospel of Mary. Oh no, I've gone too far down. We're on the alabaster box. Oh yeah. Oh, okay. All right. Was Mary a priestess, leader? What did she teach? Cass, I was thinking about you the other day, saying I've got to call Cass. How are you, my love? There's no clean label priestess in the canon text for Mary. The Gospel of Mary and other early Christian traditions, however, show her acting as a leader, teacher, and primary witness. Oh, I'm good, my love. How are you? I'm so happy to see you. Call me, man. Roles that are in later institutional Christianity were more tightly defined as clerical and then often restricted to men. So there was no role or anything, because it's like women, it was forbidden. Women were not allowed to be any type of leader, anything. Some modern scholars argue women acted in liturgical and leadership roles. So deaconesses, leaders of house churches, because they've got that in the canon, innit? What she taught, so this is from the Gospel of Mary. The fragments show that Mary offered spiritual interpretation. One second. Hello? Okay. Oh, wait, I've got to go out for a minute. 1 second. Thank you so much. See you later, mate. I hope I wasn't Oh, that's it. That's it, Jen. We done, baby. If you ain't gonna call me, we done. Sorry, guys. I had the fridge guy coming, and then I got caught. Guys, I'm getting a replacement. I'm getting a new fridge. Oh, I'm so happy. And you know how great this is, because remember I've been saying, guys, that I want to do my my healthy eating. So I've got having my brand new fridge coming, so I'll be able to really do it up, man. I'm so excited. All right, let me finish this off then, guys. This has been a good one though, innit? Come on, be honest. I did say this was going to be a good one. And then we'll just have this very like raw recording on YouTube, so that if you guys want to go and like watch it afterwards, because I'm going to watch it, chair. If you need to go and watch it afterwards, or you want to watch it in the day or whatever, you look, it's automatically up. But what I am going to do is frame some beautiful content for us as women to liberate us. And I know a lot of women have been triggered from the Bible. So I think it's really bad. If some people just want to be done with it, that's up to you. Do you know what I mean? Because I know it is so triggering, chair. But do you know what I would love to do? Like put something together, like a, you know, the scriptures. I'm not trying to be a pastor or a mug or whatever, but you know, like a book, like with some scriptures in it that aren't triggering, to like change, you know, the narrative. Because I think it's so sad when people want to like still stay with God and they want to explore Christ, but they don't know how to separate the two. So they just throw everything away because everything is triggering. Oh, guys, I have so many visions for this CIC and so many things that I want to do to help people as I'm healing. The more I'm healing, the stronger I get. And I just need to get to a place where I can apply for the funding. I can carry out what I need to carry out through, and I've got to be strong enough to do it. But once I am, guys, that's when it all changes. Ooh, Miss Elroy said, yeah, she must have been a leader, because why were they intimidated? Yeah, and they've tried to silence her, innit, from that leadership. It's so true. Miss CHM in the car. All right. Okay, so did I say what she taught from the fragments? Okay, so it shows that Mary offered spiritual interpretation, calming a fearful community, because there must have been a lot of unrest as well when it was getting closer to Christ being unalive. But they never talk about it like this. They never talk about what it must have been like for the people that were following the move of Christ, and when they unalived him and they had to all get scattered and flee for their life. They don't talk about that. They paint it as like it's all about money in there, man. So there's no empathy, there's no real feeling and understanding towards who Christ is. It's nuts. So she also calmed that fearful community and urging inward, liberating knowledge and an emphasis on spiritual autonomy, because it makes sense that we would have had to have gone within after Christ unalived, because he said that he's leaving what the greatest gift or whatever, which is the Holy Spirit, which when you become born again truly in your heart and soul, there should be that exchange, right? But they've repackaged it everywhere, because that makes sense why Christ would have appointed Mary as the apostle to the apostles, because he was going, but the Spirit is now left. So we have to go within. That's why we'll do greater works. You get it? Because we're still here. So my theory is, I've completely disassociated. Yeah, so because Christ obviously got unalived, then they all scattered. Do you get it? So that's why I think Mary's teachings were pivotal, because people then had to go within, because they couldn't gather and they couldn't. And then the Pharisees, I believe that they built that Roman Catholic church or whatever that they built upon the disciples. It's not from God, guys. I just have to keep it a buck with you, but you can believe what you want. It was all about going within. That's why he said he came to destroy the temple and rebuild it in 3 days. We are the temple. That's the point. Because religion controls. So that's why they want us to have the religion, because then they can control us. But Christ is not about control. Christ is about freedom and liberty and all of that. So that's why they're teaching the anti-Christ. And we are in Revelation. I believe that this is the spiritual war, like what's happening with the religions and the narcissistic collapse. I believe that would dichotomy be the right word to say? Like, you know, like when it's got that, I don't know the word, but what does dichotomy mean? Does anyone know? Because that just came to my head. All right, so what she taught. Okay, so liberating knowledge and emphasis on spiritual autonomy, personal revelation, and inner freedom that can be empowering for women. Because the text is fragmentary, we paraphrase the themes rather than quoting long passages, because it's only like a couple of pages. They really tried to take Mary Magdalene's teachings out. They tried to take her out, chair. So how the New Testament canon was formed. So we're going to look at how the Bible was formed now, guys. This is going to come with a trigger warning. Sorry, Instagram, 1 second. If you know, chair, that you're not ready for this conversation, just leave, because I can't hold the space for you. This is the truth, and this is deconstructing the canon Bible that we're going to go into now. So if you still want to be in a dissociative, cognitive dissonant state, doing up, playing church, then just it's not going to be for you. Yeah. So how the New Testament canon was formed: facts, dates, and power. A quick source timeline. So early Christian communities used many texts originally. So there wasn't just one book, it was many texts, like just, you know, like the sacred writings, and then they all formed their own view on that. Okay. By the late 2nd to 4th centuries, leaders argued for lists of authoritative books. Athanasius, I don't know, 367 CE gave a 27 book list that matches our modern New Testament. Regional councils reframed similar lists. The process was gradual, contested, and influenced by which text best served emerging orthodoxy. So they were trying to control wider society, guys. This was not a single closed decision in one meeting, but a multi-century formation. So as the leaders came in and they were ruling with the power of religion, because remember I told you there's a lot of witchcraft in this. So they demonized all the women, and then they took. Oh, it's so much. It's so much. So do you see, it's like Chinese whispers, like over the years, over time, it's just become more and more ridiculous. And in 2025, we're like, this is human fecal matter. We just can't believe it anymore because there's just so much inconsistencies. And now technology, which has always been their enemy, science and technology, has always been the religion's enemy, has always been science and technology and anyone with knowledge. So anyone with knowledge, so a successful woman, it's her fault that she's not got a husband because she's proud, she's not humble, her expectations are too high. They'll be demonizing high-powered women. That's why they don't get married. They have all the money, but they don't have a man. So it's like they prize the men in there. Everything, it's just a male overload. That's what it is. So why so you got to be extremely desperate and broken and traumatized to be in these settings. Do you understand? So everyone who's in there, they're traumatized. All right. While some books were excluding theological disagreement, e.g. Gnostic versus proto-Orthodox views, regional differences, and a preference for texts tied to authoritative apostolic tradition. So the Gnostic text is more about going within. It's a completely different doctrine. You should check it out. I might talk about it a little bit here. And then the proto-Orthodox views was the religion. So Catholicism, the Roman, that's why it's called the Roman Catholic Church. It's not the Church of Christ, it's the Roman Catholic Church. The Romans built that church. And of course that's going to be, you know, the one true church, isn't it? Because, I mean, Romans were ruling the world with the Roman Empire at one point, weren't they? And they got they've got the most powerful property portfolio in the world with all of the church buildings in the Vatican. And get sticky chair. Why some books were excluded? Theological disagreements, and text tied to authority. So they wanted to create the book so they could control people through authoritative apostolic tradition, because as society grows, they get more people, it starts to get out of control. They have to be able to maintain the power and control. Do you understand what I'm saying? So they formed like little cultic groups within religion. That's all it is. Political shift. So Constantine's conversion and the imperial support after 313 CE favored unity under hierarchies that were largely male and episcopal. That helped marginalize texts that elevated women or promoted different ecclesiology. So women were just deleted, just taken out of it. Men took over. It started to become man-made. Do you get it? So it's gone from just people exploring texts to exploring the story of Christ, whatever, to Constantine seeing this vision, and then he's got to put it in the book. And it's just all mental health, chair. All right, Paul v. Mary. Why Paul's letters are treated differently? Paul's letters are a scholarly consensus sees 7 undisputed Paul letters. Early Christians' writings we date to to around 50-60 CE. Other letters using Paul's name are disputed. Authorship are debated. Paul's writings circulated early. So there's more Paul's writings, share. They probably left out the parts where Paul was loving the women and being, you know what I mean, and just kept in all the authoritarian stuff that we don't get a true reflection and picture. Paul's writings circulated early and influenced developing theology and church order. This is partly why his works had authority in the canon process. So do you see that Paul's works fit more towards the rhetoric and the hidden agenda that they were, because they were trying to create religion, what Christ came to destroy. That's why, like every knee shall bow, yeah, including y'all. Do you get what I'm saying? Because you're doing up religion. That's part of the knee bowing. Do you get what I'm saying? Like you gonna be forced to bow, baby. If the world makes you bow, you gonna bow. Every knee gonna bow, baby. Different genre and circulation. The Gospel of Mary is a later, different genre, apocryphon, Gnostic, which with limited manuscript circulation. It wasn't treated the same as multiple widely circulated letters like Paul's, because when leaders made decisions about authoritative teaching, they referred more to Paul's works because that was the agenda and drive and initiative that they were rolling out. That difference in date, theology, and circulation contributed to its exclusion. But exclusion is not the same as falsity. It means different authorities made different choices under social pressures. So this is all politics. Why they didn't put Mary Magdalene's book in is all politics, because it wasn't talking about church control or women being submissive. And I'm sure if she had a letter talking about, all of her struggles, with being this good, humble, holy servant, I'm sure they would have put that in as a mantra. That would have been one for the aunties, innit? And the women that wear abuse as crowns, especially the ones where their husbands are putting serious hands on them. Do you know what I mean? The humble prayer of Mary. Social politics and economic context that shaped what survived. So what survived? So we've got the patriarchal world. The Roman late antique Mediterranean was deeply patriarchal, and that's where all the influences of this fake religion has come from. Women's public rights were limited, even when some elite women exercised real influence. And it's important to see when, when they were unaliving a lot of women, saying that they were witches, because they would unalive me and call me a witch, guys. You've got to be like, if this was back in that day. So a lot of women with knowledge, wisdom, like women who were gifted, like from God, like they just unalived them and said they were a witch. There were beautiful women, and it's like, the guy would fall in love with them and tell them that he wants to marry them, a richer guy, and she would be poor and say, no, I don't want to marry you. And he would call her a witch and put her to unalivement. So there's been a lot of, guys, as women, we need to look into the history of the witches, because they weren't unaliving males. It was just women. And that was a genocide in the name of witchcraft. Like how they brand women in these church cults as witches and they're not. That's exactly what they did back then. All right, guys? Okay. These were the herbalists. These were the medicinal women. They were not, they actually created that label and demonized women the same way they've done through the Bible, because they still couldn't stop them after that, because women are powerful. We're strong. We're mothers. We're built to alive and unalive. That's why they called us goddesses, because we literally unalive and come back to life when we give birth. But it's like they don't want you to see that divinity, because they want to keep us down. That's what the patriarchy and the misogyny is about. So if you're a woman, make sure you, I would say, deconstruct like the Salem trials and like the atrocities of women and things like that. It's really important, especially when you look at the time frame of when they did all of the witch hunts, and then the political agenda and what they were doing around that time. It all fits into it. So it's important. And I will be breaking this down. I will be unpacking it. Oh, Instagram, I'm going to have to go. But I am going to do content because my battery's on 6%. But I will be back. Love y'all. The full video will be on YouTube. Have you lot enjoyed the live? Why am I shouting? Let me know if you're enjoying the live, guys. I've loved it. All right. All right. So women's public rights were limited, even when some elite women exercised real influence. Oh, elites. I'm so happy. As Christianity institutionalized post-Constantine, it absorbed many patriarchal social structures. Male clerical hierarchies were introduced. They gained control of scripture. So they twisted it all, mixed it, put together the books that they wanted. Liturgy and orthodoxy. Political and class interests. So emerging church elites needed social stability and shamed. Okay, so political and class interests. This is very important. Emerging church elites needed social stability and shaped doctrine in ways that preserved social order. So the class system, the social clique system, the household hierarchies, the property rights, the patriarchal patrias. They keep women as slaves in religion. That's why I can't really take a woman seriously that's in religion, innit? I'll love you, but from a distance, because like it's just giving confusion because it's all man-made and it's patriarchal, misogynistic, and when you do your research, but they just can't let go. It's the ingrained indoctrination. Do you get it? They just can't let it go, because you can't be like a woman that loves herself and be in religion. I don't think so anyway, and I don't care if that's controversial. That's just my take on it. Prove it to me then. Prove to me that you can love yourself and be in religion. But share, I'll tell you what's going to be your embarrassment and your humiliation is the husband. That's what will teach you. That's what will teach you. I'm loving this live, very empowering and educating. I'm so glad, because that's what I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be empowering. I wanted it to be empowering. I wanted to empower us, because they've deleted us out of the Bible, and that's just not the case. Do you know what I mean? Like, God has chosen us. I don't want to go too much into women, so it looks like the men are getting left out, because I love my kings and they're just as important. We both need each other just the same, equally, yin and yang, a really perfect blend and balance. But you know, you can't take away that women, we are goddesses. We do unalive and come back to life when we give birth. You know, it's an absolute miracle and marvel. You know, we are absolutely spectacular. We are a marvel and a wonder. We are art. We are absolutely sublimely, fearfully and wonderfully made. That's why I said I'm not dashing away the Bible, because fearfully and wonderfully made resonates, because I know I'm the ish. Do you know what? So fearfully, I know I'm a part of God's creation, because it would take a God to create something as beautiful as me. That's how much I love myself. So I can't deny my creator, because something as intricate and beautiful as myself has definitely been created. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I love myself, yeah. So it's that element of love. Yeah, that's why you have to love yourself. Do you get what I'm saying? But they don't get it. They can't process this, because everything in there is HATE. It's a low vibration. So how do you get yourself out of that low vibration? They're keeping you in that low vibration so that they can control you. That's why concrete effects on women, why this matters today. Women erased from leadership, memory, deacons, prophets, house church leaders, makes it easier for modern leaders to claim male-only authority as a normative. So they've normalized dysfunction. And that's why everything's going tits up, because it's not the true order of God. They've created like this fake order, and they've been trying to get away with it for so many years through this witchcraft and this psychology. But now we're all waking up. Because even in the marriages, there's no head in the marriages. I've never seen a man that's a head. They're meant to worship the women. What are you talking about? Why is it they turn into managers? Because the men don't lead. If you don't have a masculine man who's in his masculine energy, the women talk to him like a little boy, like he's a mother. It's embarrassing. Spiritual slurs and control, labels like Jezebel spirit or impudent Vashti, trace to the same habit of demonizing autonomous women. So that's why I said they label the Vashtis and the Jezebels. They're the baddies. They're the independent ones, the beautiful women, the ones that love themselves, that will say no even to the king, because it's like, I'm too nice for you. These are the ones that they HATE. So that's why they go so hard. That's why they go so in, and they demonize like women who want to do better for themselves and make better choices for themselves. So that's why I said to you, in these spaces, it's all pick-me's and Barbara the Builders. They've internalized misogyny. That's why I won't talk to them. I won't, because I'm a queen, I'm a goddess, and I don't speak to pick-me's. So that's why I won't do it. All right, because you're just not on my level. I don't care. And like one girl from Carriage tried to come and be like, you project that you don't love yourself. I was thinking, bitch. Like, baby, like I am worshipped outside in these streets, because it's the male validation that they're looking for. That's why they go there, because a girl like Real Talk TV, she'll never get a husband if it's based off that wig and makeup and her elocution. She will only get a husband from the church. Like, I can go to Mayfair. I can go wherever I know her. I'm not desperate. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So I know I'm that. So there's absolutely no projection. I've been getting called a prima donna from secondary school, my love. I've had bitches hating on me from nursery. You know them ones from nursery. I've had little girls hating and being jealous of me because remember, I could sing from 4 years old. Yeah, so I'm always the star of the show. And if another woman's there and she's beautiful and she's singing, I'll celebrate her and we'll kick it. We'll vibe. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm on that level. Y'all are on the low vibrational. Don't want to be yourself. If you had the choice to be someone else or get some work done or change something about yourself, you would. I wouldn't. Do you see the difference? Do you see how you need the wig and all of the makeup and I don't? You do. Do you see the difference? Okay. And then you want to come on and tell me that I'm projecting because I'm a fan of you. I didn't even know you existed until you did that video, babe. You did that video in response to me, and you've been talking about me with your indirects for a good couple of days now. So Karis is going to get it because of her. I'm not letting it go. I'm not letting it go. Karis better get ready, chair. Karis better get ready. And I'll be naming that girl. I'll be having her picture up all the time so that they're aware it's her, because you're too fast. You like fame too much. That's what I'm saying. You want to get the views. You're social media hungry and thirsty. So now I'm going to give it to you. Now I'm going to give you the attention that you and Karis so badly crave. Yeah. And these labels are still used to this day, guys, to shame women who assert boundaries. So Mary Magdalene was the first witness of the resurrection. She carried the news. This is leadership. The Gospel of Mary shows Mary instructing the disciples, a woman with spiritual authority. That tradition was real, but they sidelined it. Not erased by lack of worth. It was sidelined, not erased, because we've got it, thank God. They tried to erase the history of powerful divine women in the Bible. The alabaster jar is not shame. It's the most costly gift Mary gave her best. But I think in mega churches, they don't really class it as shame. They use that to coerce women to give everything they got. So now ChatGPT has given me some honest, evidence-based answers to some of my questions that I asked it, yeah? And then I'm going to end it here. And then we'll go into Gnosticism, because I feel like that's going to be a bit too much. I might come and do that before the school run, actually, because this is such an important series. I just want to have it all. Oh my God, am I on? Sorry, guys, I've lost it. Is this? Oh, I'm on the Gnosticism one. See, I can't do that now because that's going to be too long. All right. Where's the short takeaways? Okay, here we go. All right, so the alabaster. Okay, I've said that. All right, so was the Bible man-made? Yes, the scriptures were written, copied, selected, and canonized by human communities over centuries. This is ChatGPT, so this is factual evidence, like that's in museums and that. All right. That human process included political, social, and theological factors, including patriarchal norms. That's a fact of history, not a conspiracy. That human process included political, social, and theological factors, including patriarchal norms. That's a fact of history, not a conspiracy. But because they're so brainwashed, they think that we're like it's end times and Christ's gonna come through the cloud. We've come to the realization they are the Antichrist. So this is the battle that we're going through right now, as above, so below. Was Mary a leader and priestess? She was functioned as a leader and primary witness. Whether she was formerly a priestess depends on later ecclesial categories. Early communities showed women acting in roles, leaders, deaconesses, hosts of house churches, giving up their homes to start churches. That later clerical structures narrowed. So then, they just banned women from talking and whatever, and they were the ones who gave up their homes and were willing to risk their life for Christ, not the men. But anyway, how was Mary degraded to a schmegs worker? So conflation of different female figures in the Gospels, later patristic and medieval interpretations, social misogyny together produced and polarized the schmegs worker image, not the canon text itself. So my problem is not with the canon Bible, the text. I believe in those prophets. I believe in the word. I believe in Christ. What I don't believe in is the formation of the Bible. I think we need to scrap religion completely. I think it just needs to be thrown in the bin. And then what I think we need to do is just go within and just start to be free and just worship and we need to get the earth back to its original, what God originally intended us to be, and the earth to be like. And on that note, I'm going to go. Guys, I will be back on later. I'll let you know, give you a little taster and feeler of what I'm going to be doing up. Guys, I wouldn't miss this one. I honestly wouldn't miss this live. I'm going to be tying it all together. Mary, the Apocrypha, Gnosticism, the canon, and who gained by shutting the feminine voice up. So this is the truth, yeah? So we're going to be looking at the Gospel of Mary and the lost writings. We're going to look at what is Gnosticism. Because Gnosticism, they were worshipping Gnosticism for 300 years, and they believed that the real ruler of this world is like they believe that like God is the devil and it's all mad. So how can you go from believing in something that was so fundamentally different to now believe? So they just packaged it in a way like a cheap McDonald's meal, something that was like they could package to you know, the wider society, so they could control mankind. That's all. Then we're going to be looking at why those texts were sidelined, and then we're going to be looking at Constantine and the Nicaea, so how everything got put together, the theological stakes, what gnosis is all about, what Mary actually taught in the Gospel of Mary. So we'll be doing a brief of that, the social context, patriarchy, property and power, and yeah, and then we're just going to be looking at that. So it's going to be more of the apocryphal voices, and these are the people that were shut down and haven't been given a voice to speak their truth, and they were like real life people walking and talking with Christ. So on that note, I'm gonna go. I'll be back later. You guys might get me on the school run chair. So yeah, so just keep your notifications on, okay? Love y'all. Bye TikTok, bye Queen Elite, bye everyone. Thanks for being on, thanks for supporting me. I've loved the live. It's been absolutely amazing. I'm so glad. I'm so grateful to just have a space to just come on and just be able to speak my truth, because it helps me empower. Like Miss El Rose said, she felt empowered. I feel blooming empowered. Do you know what I mean? I feel like I could take on the world now, and that's really what this is about. All right, guys. So Leia, I'll see you later. If I'm not on later, though, I'm tired. Bye, YouTube. Love y'all.